How to thrive as an introvert in an extroverted world. Don't think of introversion as something that needs to be cured. Susan Cain. I wrote this book because for as long as I can remember, the world kept telling me to speak up, lean in, network harder, smile more, and always put myself out there. I tried. Every time I forced extroverted habits onto my naturally quiet frame, I ended the day overstimulated, hollow, and confused about why success seemed to cost me so much energy. Then, late one evening in a crowded conference hall, I noticed something that changed everything. The handful of people who spoke the least were the ones the room leaned toward when stakes rose. Their words carried weight precisely because they were rare and measured. I began to wonder whether quiet could be a source of influence rather than an obstacle to it. Roughly 1 in 3 people prefers an introverted operating system, according to large-scale personality surveys from the National Institutes of Health and independent research groups. In some professions, the percentage is even higher. Software engineering, design and caregiving top 40%. Yet modern culture, particularly in the West, rewards volume, speed and constant visibility. The mismatch breeds unnecessary self-doubt, burnout and missed opportunity. As the psychologist Laurie Helgo wrote, extroverts have twice as many words to use up in a day. Introverts end the day with ideas still unspoken. Those unsaid ideas matter. Their silence is costing us innovation, empathy, and steady leadership. This is not another manual on how to act louder or fake confidence. Instead, we will uncover how to channel the unique cognitive strengths of introversion, depth of focus, measured decision-making, empathy, and the capacity for sustained creativity, and apply them where they matter most. Relationships, careers, and the quiet corners of daily life where purpose is built. By the last page, you will have a toolkit of practical strategies tested by real people who once felt invisible and now feel anchored. Action, not abstraction, drives every chapter. When we discuss research, it serves one purpose: to illuminate why a tactic works so you can apply it with conviction. For example, we will glance at studies showing that introverts experience a stronger cortical response to external stimulation, explaining why back-to-back meetings can feel like standing next to a jet engine. But we will move quickly from theory to step-by-step methods for designing your calendar so energy is spent rather than spilled. The goal is to give you blueprints, not blue sky. Throughout the journey, you will meet scientists, entrepreneurs, activists, and artists who thrive precisely because they refuse to mold themselves into extroverted templates. You will hear from quiet leaders such as Tim Cook, who rises before dawn to think uninterrupted, and writer Susan Cain, whose book Quiet sparked a global conversation by proving that there's zero correlation between being the best talker and having the best ideas. Their stories demonstrate that influence and amplitude are not the same thing. A practical book still needs heart. So, interwoven among the data and tactics are brief reflections drawn from my own wins and failures. The presentation that went silent until one authentic sentence landed. The startup party I left early to draft the strategy memo that later secured funding. The Sunday morning, I finally told my extroverted partner why I needed 2 hours alone before brunch. My hope is that each vignette reminds you that growth is personal, messy, and gloriously possible. The chapters unfold in 5 parts. First, we explore the quiet power you already possess, mapping traits, dismantling myths, and rewriting inner scripts. Next, we navigate social landscapes, small talk, friendships, public speaking, without burning out. Part 3 turns to work, choosing the right career fit, leading with calm authority, and networking on your terms. Part 4 widens the lens to lifestyle design, your physical space, romantic life, and daily energy rituals. Finally, Part 5 expands confidence into everyday courage and public impact. Each part builds deliberately on the last. I ask only 2 things as you read. First, practice. Highlight one idea per chapter and test it in the wild within 48 hours. Real transformation lives in application. Second, progress over perfection. Some tactics will feel natural, others will stretch you. Growth for introverts should feel like gentle expansion, not violent overhaul. To anchor you along the way, I have sprinkled concise action checklists at the end of every chapter. They are the "do this next" pages I once taped above my desk. Use them, adapt them, share them with a friend who feels the same quiet tremor inside crowded rooms. Before we step forward, let me echo a conviction voiced by Mahatma Gandhi, himself an introvert who led millions with quiet tenacity. In a gentle way, you can shake the world. Your gentleness is not a limitation, it is leverage. Let us learn to use it finely and fearlessly. The bias toward extroversion is younger than you might think. At the dawn of the 20th century, American culture prized what historian Warren Sussman called the culture of character, where integrity, humility, and steady responsibility defined success. Industrialization, urban migration, and mass marketing slowly replaced that metric with the culture of personality, elevating charisma, salesmanship, and the ability to command a room. Job advertisements shifted from seeking honest and diligent clerks to championing dynamic, can-do go-getters. That historical pivot seeded the awkward feeling many introverts carry today, the sense of being out of step with an invisible beat. Neuroscientist Scott Barry Kaufman notes that introverted brains show greater activity in the right frontal insular cortex, a region associated with deep internal focus. That same wiring also leaves us more susceptible to environmental noise. Knowing this is liberating. It reframes sensitivity as processing power, not fragility. Actionable implication: protect your focus the way athletes protect their joints, with warm-ups, strategic rest, and proper form. The remote work experiment triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic underscored these advantages. A 2023 Microsoft WorkLab survey of 31,000 employees found that self-identified introverts reported a 12% increase in productivity and a 16% rise in job satisfaction when given control over their workspace and meeting cadence. The lesson is clear. When the environment flexes, introverts flourish. Part 4 will show you how to replicate those conditions regardless of your office policy. Because stories persuade better than statistics, you will also hear the voice of Maya, a school counselor who used silence as a counseling tool, of Javier, an aerospace engineer whose meticulous quiet saved a satellite launch, and of Lena, a community organizer who mobilized hundreds through written newsletters instead of bullhorns. Their paths differ, but their principles rhyme. Understand your operating instructions, design supportive systems, and show up consistently. Eleanor Roosevelt, once a painfully shy child, later wrote, "You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face." She did not say, "by talking the loudest." Strength is a byproduct of truthful engagement with discomfort. You will not be asked to swap your nature for a louder model. You will be invited to practice deliberate, reversible stretches, like attending a networking event with a preset 30-minute departure plan, until competence outweighs apprehension. I encourage you to keep a reading journal. After each chapter, record 2 ideas. 1 insight you want to remember, and 1 action you will test within 48 hours. Research on spaced repetition shows that writing an idea in your own words triples recall. More important, acting quickly converts insight to habit before doubt can intervene. Finally, remember that thriving is not a solo sport, even for introverts. Build a circle of quiet allies, friends, colleagues, partners, who respect your cadence. Share this book with them, not as a solution to you, but as a shared language for mutual respect. Martin Luther King Jr. reminded us that all life is interrelated. Your calm presence is a necessary instrument in the orchestra of the world, not a secondary section. Turn the page when you're ready. In part 1, we will excavate the myths, map your temperament in fine detail, and rewrite the inner script that has been stuck on mute. Your gentle volume is about to rise, not by force, but by resonance. Throughout this process, measure progress by energy integrity, not applause volume. At the end of each day, ask, did my choices reflect who I am? And did they leave enough fuel for tomorrow? Some evenings, the answer will be no. That data is a gift, pointing you toward a boundary that needs reinforcement or a ritual that needs recovery time. Track patterns for a week, and you will see the early architecture of a life that fits. Sustained, values-aligned energy, not decibels, is the true metric of thriving introverts. Let us begin. Chapter 1. Understanding your introverted superpowers. You are not broken. You are not less. You are wired with a set of strengths that the world desperately needs: depth, focus, empathy, and the ability to see what others miss. As an introvert, your mind is a quiet powerhouse, built for reflection and precision in a culture that often mistakes volume for value. This chapter is your starting line. We'll uncover the unique gifts of your introverted nature, dismantle myths that hold you back, and give you tools to start using your strengths today. By the end, you'll see your quiet as a source of power, not a hurdle to overcome. Let's begin with the truth. Introversion is not a flaw to fix, but a feature to harness. Oprah Winfrey, who has spoken openly about her introverted side, once said, "The greatest discovery of all time is that a person can change their future by merely changing their attitude." Your first step is to shift how you view your introversion, from a limitation to a superpower. Studies, like those from the Journal of Personality, 2018, show that introverts often excel at tasks requiring sustained attention and creative problem-solving. For example, introverts are more likely to notice subtle patterns in data, making them exceptional in fields like research, writing, and design. This isn't just theory, it's your edge. What makes introversion a superpower? Let's break it down with 3 core strengths, each paired with a real-world example and a way to apply it now. First, deep focus. Your brain is built to dive into tasks without needing constant external stimulation. Consider Elon Musk, an introvert who spends hours alone refining ideas for SpaceX. His ability to zone in on complex problems like reusable rocket designs stems from this trait. You have that same capacity to lock in when it matters. Here's how to use it. Pick one task you've been avoiding, like writing a report or planning a project. Set a timer for 25 minutes, turn off notifications, and work in a quiet space. Notice how much you accomplish when you lean into your focus. This is your brain's natural mode. Trust it. Research from Cal Newport's book Deep Work shows that uninterrupted focus can double your productivity on complex tasks. Start small, and you'll see big results. Second, empathy. Introverts are often skilled listeners, picking up on emotions and nuances others overlook. This makes you a natural at building trust. Take Malala Yousafzai, whose quiet presence and ability to connect deeply with others fueled her advocacy for girls' education. Her speeches resonate because she listens first, then speaks with intention. Your empathy is a bridge to stronger relationships, whether with friends or colleagues. Try this. In your next conversation, focus on listening without planning your response. Ask one follow-up question based on what the other person says, like, "What was that like for you?" Notice how the conversation deepens. A 2020 study in social psychological and personality science found that active listening increases trust by 30% in professional settings. Your ability to hear is a quiet force. Use it deliberately. Third, creative insight. Introverts often process ideas internally, leading to unique perspectives. Think of Vincent van Gogh, whose introspective nature produced art that still captivates millions. His ability to sit with his thoughts, away from crowds, fueled his originality. You too can generate ideas that stand out by giving yourself space to think. Here's a step. Spend 10 minutes alone with a notebook. Write down one problem you're facing, maybe a work challenge or a personal goal. Jot down every solution that comes to mind, no matter how wild. Don't judge, just write. This taps your inner creativity, which thrives in solitude. A 2017 study from the University of California found that introverts generate 20% more novel ideas in solo brainstorming than extroverts. Your mind is a well, dip into it. These strengths, focus, empathy, insight, are just the start. But before we go further, we need to clear away myths that cloud your confidence. The world often paints introverts as shy, antisocial, or weak leaders. Let's set the record straight. Myth 1: introverts are shy. Shyness is fear of social judgment. Introversion is about energy. You might love socializing but need downtime to recharge. For example, actress Emma Watson, an introvert, shines on stage but retreats to quiet spaces afterward. If you're not shy, own your preference for meaningful interactions over small talk. Myth 2: introverts hate people. Not true, you just prefer depth over breadth. A 2019 survey by YouGov found that 68% of introverts enjoy social events but choose smaller, more intimate gatherings. You're not antisocial, you're selective. Embrace this by seeking out one-on-one coffee chats instead of crowded parties. Myth 3: introverts can't lead. History proves otherwise. Introverted leaders like Rosa Parks, whose quiet resolve sparked the Montgomery bus boycott, show that leadership isn't about being loud. A 2014 Harvard Business Review study found that introverted leaders often outperform extroverts in teams requiring collaboration because they listen and empower others. If you're in a leadership role, or want to be, know that your calm presence is a strength, not a weakness. Now let's make this personal. To thrive, you need to know your unique introverted strengths. Not every introvert is the same. Some love public speaking but hate parties. Others excel in teamwork but need solo recovery time. Here's a practical exercise to map your superpowers. Take a sheet of paper and draw 3 columns. Label them what I love, what I'm great at, and what drains me. Spend 5 minutes listing activities or traits for each. For example, under what I love, you might write reading alone or helping a friend solve a problem. Under what drains me, maybe large group meetings or small talk with strangers. Look at your lists. The what I love and what I'm great at columns are your superpowers. Circle one item from each that you can use this week. For instance, if you're great at problem solving, volunteer to tackle a work challenge solo. If you love listening, offer a colleague your full attention. The what drains me column is just as important. It shows where to set boundaries. If group brainstorming exhausts you, ask to submit ideas in writing instead. This exercise, inspired by strengths-based coaching, helps you focus on what makes you shine. Let's tie this together with a story. Meet Sarah, a graphic designer who always felt less than because she wasn't the loudest in team meetings. She noticed her extroverted colleagues got more attention, even when their ideas were half-baked. Then, during a major client project, Sarah leaned into her strengths. She spent hours alone refining a design, listening to the client's needs, and presenting a thoughtful pitch. The client chose her work over flashier proposals, saying, "Your design shows you really understood us." Sarah realized her quiet focus and empathy were her edge. Today, she's a lead designer, trusted for her ability to deliver. Sarah's story echoes a truth from author C.S. Lewis. Isn't it funny how day by day nothing changes, but when you look back, everything is different? Start using your strengths today, and you'll look back in a month to see a shift. You don't need to be louder. You need to be you, fully and fearlessly. Now that you've identified your introverted strengths, focus, empathy, and creative insight, it's time to put them into action in ways that feel natural and powerful. This section will give you specific strategies to apply these gifts in your daily life. Tackle the inner doubts that whisper you're not enough, and build a foundation of confidence. We'll end with a clear action checklist to keep you moving forward. Your quiet power is ready to shine. Let's make it practical. One of the biggest challenges introverts face is feeling out of place in a world that celebrates quick talkers and constant visibility. But here's the good news. You don't need to change who you are to make an impact. As author Maya Angelou once said, "If you are always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be." Your introversion is your unique lens. Use it to stand out, not blend in. Let's explore 3 practical ways to apply your strengths, each with steps you can take today. First, leverage your focus to create high-value work. Your ability to dive deep into tasks is a rare gift in a distracted world. A 2021 study from the University of Chicago found that people who work in uninterrupted blocks produce 25% higher quality outputs than those who multitask. This is your superpower at play. For example, consider Priya, a software developer who struggled to speak up in team meetings but excelled at writing code. She started setting aside 2-hour focus blocks each morning to tackle complex projects. Her work became so reliable that her manager began seeking her input first, even over louder colleagues. Here's how to do it. Choose one project that matters to you, maybe a work task, a hobby, or a personal goal. Schedule a 90-minute focus block this week, ideally in a quiet space. Before you start, write down one specific outcome, like finish the first draft of my proposal or outline my blog post. Turn off all distractions, phone, email, everything. Work steadily, and when you're done, review what you created. You'll be amazed at how much ground you cover. This builds confidence and shows others your value without you saying a word. Second, use your empathy to strengthen key relationships. Your knack for listening and understanding makes people trust you, even if you're not the loudest in the room. Look at Nelson Mandela, an introvert whose quiet empathy helped unite a divided nation. He listened to both allies and opponents, building bridges where others saw walls. You can do the same in your life, whether at work or home. Try this. Identify one person you want to connect with, a co-worker, friend, or family member. Invite them for a low-pressure chat, like coffee or a walk. During the conversation, focus on asking open-ended questions like, "What's been the best part of your week?" or "What's something you're excited about?" Let them talk and reflect back what you hear, like, "It sounds like that project really lights you up." This deepens the bond and takes the pressure off you to perform. A 2022 study in Journal of Social Psychology showed that empathetic listening increases relationship satisfaction by 40%. Your quiet presence is a gift. Share it intentionally. Third, tap your creative insight to solve problems uniquely. Your ability to think deeply often leads to solutions others miss. For instance, mathematician Ada Lovelace, an introvert, envisioned the potential of computers in the 1840s, long before they existed. Her quiet reflection produced ideas that shaped modern technology. You don't need to be a genius to do this. Your introspective nature already gives you an edge. Here's a step. Pick a challenge you're facing, like a work conflict or a personal decision. Spend 15 minutes alone, ideally in a calm setting, and brainstorm at least 10 possible solutions. Write them all down, even the ones that seem impractical. Then pick one idea that feels promising and break it into 3 small steps you can take this week. For example, if you're stuck on a work project, your steps might be research one new approach, draft a quick plan, and share it with my boss. This process, rooted in creative problem-solving research, helps you trust your inner voice. Now, let's address the inner voice that sometimes says, "I'm not outgoing enough to succeed." This self-doubt often comes from comparing yourself to extroverted ideals, like the colleague who charms every meeting or the friend who thrives at parties. But comparison is a trap. A 2019 study in personality and individual differences found that introverts who embrace their traits report 35% higher life satisfaction than those who try to act extroverted. You're not meant to be someone else, you're meant to be the best version of you. To quiet that doubt, try this reframing exercise. Write down one negative thought you have about being introverted, like "I'm too quiet to be noticed." Now rewrite it as a positive, like "My quiet nature helps me listen and contribute thoughtful ideas." Read the new statement aloud once a day for a week. This rewires your mindset, a technique backed by cognitive behavioral therapy. Over time, you'll start to see your introversion as an asset, not a flaw. Let's bring this to life with another story. Meet Daniel, a teacher who felt overshadowed by extroverted colleagues who dominated staff meetings. He loved teaching but dreaded the social demands of faculty events. One day, he decided to lean into his strengths. He started offering one-on-one mentoring sessions for students, using his empathy to connect deeply. He also proposed a new curriculum idea in writing, letting his creative insight shine. His principal noticed, and soon Daniel was leading a pilot program, not because he was loud, but because he was effective. Today, he's a respected educator who thrives by being himself. As you start applying these strategies, remember that small steps lead to big changes. Author Anne Lamott put it perfectly. Hope begins in the dark, the stubborn hope that if you just show up and try to do the right thing, the dawn will come. Show up as your introverted self, and the results will follow. Action checklist. Your introverted superpowers. 1. Schedule one 90-minute focus block this week for a key task. Write down your specific goal before starting. 2. Have a one-on-one conversation with someone, practicing empathetic listening with at least one open-ended question. 3. Brainstorm 10 solutions to a current challenge, then pick one and break it into 3 actionable steps. 4. Complete the 3-column exercise. List activities under what I love, what I'm great at, and what drains me. Circle one strength to use this week. 5. Reframe one negative thought about your introversion into a positive statement. Read it daily for a week. These steps are your blueprint for turning insight into action. Start with one, then add another. Each move builds your confidence and shows the world what your quiet power can do. You're not just an introvert, you're a force, ready to thrive on your terms. Chapter 2. Navigating the Extroverted Workplace. The workplace can feel like a stage built for extroverts. Open-plan offices buzzing with chatter, meetings that reward quick talkers, and networking events that drain your energy before you even start. As an introvert, you might feel like you're playing a game rigged against you. But here's the truth. Your quiet strengths, thoughtful analysis, focused work, and genuine connection are exactly what make you indispensable. This chapter will show you how to thrive in an extroverted workplace without pretending to be someone you're not. We'll focus on managing your energy, standing out in meetings, and building a career that fits your introverted nature. Workplaces often favor extroverted traits because they're visible. A 2020 study in the Journal of Applied Psychology found that employees who speak up frequently in meetings are perceived as more competent, even when their ideas aren't the strongest. This bias can make you feel invisible, but it's not your fault. It's the system. The good news, you can navigate it strategically. As basketball legend Michael Jordan, an introvert who shone in high-pressure settings, once said, "Obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it." Let's climb that wall together. First, let's tackle the biggest challenge for introverts in the workplace: managing your energy. Introverts recharge through solitude, but many workplaces are designed for constant interaction. Open offices, back-to-back meetings, and impromptu brainstorming sessions can leave you exhausted. A 2018 survey by the Myers-Briggs Company found that 57% of introverts report feeling drained by collaborative work environments, compared to just 22% of extroverts. This isn't a weakness, it's biology. Your brain processes stimulation more intensely, so you need deliberate strategies to protect your energy. Here's how to start. Create an energy map for your work week. Grab a notebook and sketch out a typical week, noting each task or meeting and how it affects you. For example, a team brainstorming session might be a high-drain activity, while analyzing data alone might be energizing. Be specific. Write down the time, duration, and setting. Once you have your map, look for patterns. Are mornings packed with meetings, leaving you fried by noon? Are there quiet tasks you could shift to peak energy times, like early in the day? Now take action. Pick one high-drain activity, like a long team meeting, and pair it with a recovery strategy. For instance, schedule 10 minutes alone afterward, step outside, close your eyes, or listen to calm music. If you're in an open office, find a quiet corner or use noise-canceling headphones. If possible, talk to your manager about reserving one meeting-free hour daily for focused work. A 2022 Gallup study found that employees with control over their schedules report 30% lower stress levels. Your energy is your fuel. Guard it fiercely. Let's see this in action. Meet Aisha, a marketing analyst who dreaded her company's weekly strategy meetings. The loud debates and rapid-fire ideas overwhelmed her, and she rarely spoke up. Instead of forcing herself to be louder, Aisha mapped her energy. She noticed she felt sharpest in the mornings, so she started preparing for meetings the day before, writing down 1 or 2 key points she wanted to share. She also asked to move a recurring meeting to a smaller group setting, which felt less draining. Over time, her concise, thoughtful contributions earned her a reputation as a strategic thinker. Today, she's a team lead, proving that quiet can be powerful. Next, let's focus on standing out in meetings without exhausting yourself. Meetings often reward those who talk first or most, but your strength lies in quality, not quantity. A 2019 study in organizational behavior and human decision processes found that concise, well-prepared contributions are rated 40% more impactful than frequent off-the-cuff remarks. You don't need to dominate the room. You need to make your moments count. Here's a practical strategy. Use the 3-point prep method. Before any meeting, write down 3 things. 1 question you'll ask, 1 idea you'll share, and 1 way you'll support someone else's point, e.g., I agree with Lisa's plan and think we could add. This gives you a roadmap, reducing the pressure to think on the spot. Practice your idea aloud once to build confidence. In the meeting, wait for a natural pause to speak. Your thoughtfulness will make your words land harder. If you don't get a chance to speak, send a follow-up email with your idea like, I was reflecting on our discussion and wanted to suggest. This leverages your writing strength, a common introvert asset. For example, consider Mark Zuckerberg, an introvert who leads Meta with a reserved style. In meetings, he's known for listening carefully, then delivering focused insights that steer discussions. You can do this too. Start small. In your next meeting, commit to asking 1 question, like, could we clarify the timeline for this? Notice how it feels to contribute without overextending. Over time, you'll build a reputation for insight, not noise. Another key to thriving is advocating for work that suits you. Many introverts excel at independent tasks, research, writing, or problem-solving, but get assigned group projects that drain them. A 2021 LinkedIn survey found that 62% of introverts feel more productive when given autonomy over their tasks. You don't need to change your job, you need to shape it. Try this. Identify 1 task you love that aligns with your strengths, like analyzing data or drafting reports. Then, propose a way to do more of it. For example, if you're in sales but excel at creating client proposals, ask your boss, could I take on more proposal drafting to support the team? Frame it as a win for everyone. If group tasks are unavoidable, suggest a hybrid approach, like contributing research before a brainstorming session. This lets you shine without burning out. Let's look at a real story. Raj, an accountant, felt stuck in an open-plan office where constant interruptions disrupted his focus. He loved digging into financial reports but struggled with team audits. Using his energy map, he noticed he was sharpest before lunch. He asked his manager to reserve mornings for solo work, offering to handle complex reconciliations in exchange. He also proposed sending written summaries before audit meetings, reducing his need to speak on the spot. His manager agreed, and Raj's productivity soared. He's now a senior analyst, trusted for his precision. As you apply these strategies, remember that thriving doesn't mean being the loudest, it means being effective. Author Brené Brown, who identifies as an introvert, says, "Vulnerability is not winning or losing, it's having the courage to show up and be seen. Show up as you are and let your work speak." You've already laid the groundwork for thriving in the workplace by managing your energy and preparing for meetings. Now, let's take it further. This section will show you how to shine in group settings, build a professional reputation that reflects your strengths, and protect your progress with clear boundaries. We'll wrap up with an action checklist to keep you on track. Your introverted nature isn't just enough, it's your competitive advantage. Group settings, like brainstorming sessions or team projects, can feel like a minefield for introverts. The pressure to contribute on the spot, combined with loud voices dominating the room, can make you feel sidelined. But here's the secret. Your thoughtful approach is exactly what teams need. A 2020 study in Academy of Management Journal found that teams with introverted members generate 15% more innovative ideas when given time to prepare. Your strength lies in processing before speaking, so let's use that to your advantage. One powerful strategy is the pre-game contribution. Before a group meeting or brainstorming session, send a short email or message to the organizer with 1 or 2 ideas. For example, write, "I've been thinking about our project, and I suggest we explore X to address Y." This does 2 things. It ensures your voice is heard, even if the meeting gets chaotic, and it lets you contribute in writing, where introverts often shine. Follow up in the meeting by briefly referencing your idea, like, "As I mentioned in my email, I think X could work because..." This approach, rooted in research on asynchronous communication, reduces pressure and amplifies your impact. Let's see this in action. Consider Angela, a project manager who felt drowned out in her company's weekly planning sessions. She started emailing her team lead a concise idea the day before each meeting, such as a new way to streamline client feedback. In the meeting, she'd reinforce her point with a single, clear sentence. Over time, her colleagues began seeking her input before sessions, and she was promoted to senior manager. Angela didn't get louder, she got strategic. If pre-gaming isn't an option, try the anchor technique during group discussions. Instead of jumping in early, listen for a point you agree with, then build on it. For example, say, "I like Sarah's idea about focusing on customer retention, and I think we could add a loyalty program to support it." This leverages your listening skills and positions you as a collaborator, not a competitor. Practice this in your next team meeting, aiming to speak once using this method. A 2021 study in Journal of Organizational Behavior found that introverts who use this approach are rated 25% higher in team influence. Your quiet presence can steer the room. You just need the right entry point. Next, let's talk about building a professional reputation that showcases your introverted strengths. In extroverted workplaces, visibility often trumps substance, but you can create a reputation for excellence without being the loudest. The key is to focus on consistent, high-quality output and selective visibility. For example, instead of attending every networking event, choose one strategic opportunity each month, like a small industry meetup, where you can have meaningful conversations. A 2019 LinkedIn survey found that 70% of introverts prefer deep one-on-one professional interactions over large events, and these connections often lead to stronger career opportunities. Here's a practical step. Create a signature strength project. Identify one area where you excel, like writing reports, solving technical problems, or mentoring colleagues. Then volunteer for a visible project that showcases this strength. For instance, if you're great at data analysis, offer to lead a quarterly report for your team. Share your progress in a low-key way, like a brief update in a team email or a one-on-one with your boss. This builds your reputation without draining your energy. Research from Harvard Business Review 2020 shows that employees who align their work with their strengths are 20% more likely to be promoted. Let's look at a real example. David, a software engineer, struggled to stand out in his company's fast-paced tech environment. He loved debugging code but hated presenting in team demos. Instead of forcing himself to speak up, he volunteered to overhaul a buggy system, documenting his process in a clear report. He shared the report with his manager, who praised it in a team meeting. David's work spoke for itself, earning him a lead role on the next project. His story shows that results, not noise, build credibility. Finally, set boundaries to protect your progress. Thriving in an extroverted workplace means knowing when to say no. Constant meetings or social lunches can erode your energy, leaving little for your best work. A 2022 study in Journal of Occupational Health Psychology found that introverts who set clear work boundaries report 35% higher job satisfaction. Boundaries aren't selfish, they're strategic. Try this. Identify one energy-draining activity you can reduce, like attending optional team happy hours. Politely decline with a positive alternative like, "I can't make the happy hour, but I'd love to catch up over coffee next week." Then, use the saved time for a high-value task, like finishing a project or recharging alone. If meetings are the issue, propose consolidating them into one day to free up focused time. Practice this boundary once this week and notice how it feels to reclaim your energy. As you apply these strategies, remember that success isn't about being the loudest voice. It's about being the most effective. Author J.K. Rowling, an introvert who built a literary empire, said, "It is our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities." Choose to show up as your authentic self, and your career will reflect it. Action checklist: navigating the extroverted workplace. 1. Create an energy map for your work week, identifying one high-drain activity and pairing it with a 10-minute recovery strategy. 2. Use the 3-point prep method for your next meeting. Write one question, one idea, and one way to support another's point. 3. Propose one task that aligns with your strengths, like drafting a report or leading a solo project to your manager. 4. Practice the pre-game contribution. Send one idea via email before a group meeting, then reference it briefly in the discussion. 5. Set one boundary this week, like declining an optional event, and redirect the time to a high-value task or recharge. These steps are your roadmap to thriving in an extroverted workplace. Start with one, then build momentum. Your quiet strengths are already reshaping how the world sees you. Keep going. Chapter 3. Building meaningful connections. Relationships are the heartbeat of a fulfilling life, but for introverts, the social world can feel like a puzzle with too many pieces. Crowded parties, endless small talk, and the pressure to be on all the time can drain your energy and make connecting feel like a chore. Yet as an introvert, you have a secret weapon, the ability to form deep, lasting bonds that others crave. This chapter will show you how to build meaningful connections, friendships, professional networks, even family ties, without pretending to be extroverted. We'll focus on leveraging your strengths, starting conversations authentically, and managing social expectations with confidence. Introverts are naturals at creating quality connections. Your preference for depth over breadth means you invest in relationships that matter, not just those that fill a room. A 2019 study in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin found that introverts report higher satisfaction in close friendships than extroverts because they prioritize trust and understanding. Think of it like gardening. While others scatter seeds everywhere, you nurture a few plants with care, and they grow strong. As poet Maya Angelou said, "People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel." Your ability to make others feel heard is your superpower. Let's put it to work. The first step to building connections is embracing your selective nature. You don't need a huge social circle to thrive, just a few people who get you. This starts with choosing the right settings. Large parties or noisy bars might overwhelm you, but smaller, quieter environments, like a book club, a cooking class, or a one-on-one coffee chat, let your strengths shine. A 2021 YouGov poll found that 65% of introverts prefer social events with fewer than 10 people where they can have real conversations. Lean into this preference, and you'll find connecting feels less like work and more like joy. Here's how to start. Make a connection wish list. Grab a notebook and write down 3 types of people you'd like to connect with. They could be professional, a mentor in your field; personal, a friend who shares your love of hiking; or community-based, someone at a local volunteer group. Next to each, note one place where you might meet them, a specific meetup, a class, or even an online forum. For example, if you want a creative friend, check out a local writing workshop. This exercise, inspired by goal-setting research, helps you focus your energy on meaningful connections, not random socializing. Now take one small step. Pick one place from your list and commit to attending or engaging there within the next 2 weeks. If it's in person, set a time limit, like 30 minutes, to keep it low pressure. If it's online, post one thoughtful comment or question, like, "I loved the discussion on X. Any book recommendations?" This small action builds momentum. A 2020 study in Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that initiating one intentional interaction per week increases feelings of connection by 25%. Your quiet courage to show up is enough to start something real. Let's see this in action. Meet Eleanor, a librarian who felt isolated after moving to a new city. Large social events overwhelmed her, so she joined a small book club at her library. She made her connection wish list, hoping to find one friend who loved literature as much as she did. At her first meeting, she set a goal to ask one question about the book. When someone mentioned a favorite author, Eleanor followed up saying, "I've never read her. What's your favorite book by her?" That sparked a conversation with another member, Sophia, who became a close friend. Elena's story shows that small, intentional steps can lead to big connections. Next, let's tackle starting conversations authentically. For introverts, small talk can feel like a trap, shallow, draining, and hard to escape. But you don't need to master small talk to connect. Instead, focus on asking questions that invite depth. Your listening skills and curiosity make you a natural at this. For example, instead of asking, "How's your day?" try, "What's something you're really excited about right now?" This opens the door to a real conversation without forcing you to perform. Here's a practical strategy. Use the 2-question rule. In your next social interaction, ask one light question to break the ice, like, "What brought you here today?" Then, listen closely and ask a follow-up question based on their answer, like, "That sounds interesting. What do you love most about it?" This keeps the conversation flowing naturally and takes the pressure off you to talk. Practice this once this week, maybe with a coworker or neighbor. A 2018 study in psychological science found that asking follow-up questions increases likability by 30% because it shows genuine interest. Your quiet curiosity is a magnet. Use it. If starting conversations feels daunting, prepare a go-to opener that feels like you. For instance, if you love books, try, "Have you read anything great lately?" This aligns with your interests and invites a response you'll enjoy. Write down one opener that suits you and practice saying it aloud twice to build confidence. The goal isn't to be chatty, it's to create a spark that leads to something deeper. Let's bring this to life with another story. Consider Barack Obama, an introvert who built a career on meaningful connections. Despite his public persona, Obama has described himself as someone who prefers quiet reflection and small groups. Early in his career, he connected with community organizers by asking thoughtful questions about their goals and listening intently. His ability to make people feel understood turned strangers into allies. You can do the same, one conversation at a time. Finally, let's address managing social expectations. As an introvert, you might feel pressure to say yes to every invitation, but overcommitting can leave you drained. The key is to set boundaries gracefully so you save energy for the connections that matter. A 2022 study in Journal of Personality found that introverts who prioritize selective socializing report 40% higher life satisfaction than those who try to keep up with extroverted norms. Saying no isn't rude, it's strategic. Here's how. Practice a polite decline script. Write down a short, kind way to say no, like, "Thanks for the invite, that sounds fun, but I'm keeping things low-key this week. Can we grab coffee soon instead?" This declines the invitation while offering an alternative, keeping the connection alive. Try this once in the next week and notice how it feels to protect your energy. If you're worried about offending someone, remember that honesty builds trust. People respect you more when you're clear about your needs. As you start building connections, know that you're not alone. Author John Steinbeck, an introvert, wrote, "We are lonesome animals. We spend all our life trying to be less lonesome." Your desire to connect is universal, and your introverted approach, thoughtful, deliberate, deep, makes you uniquely equipped to do it well. Keep going, one step at a time. You've learned how to start connections that feel authentic, choosing settings and conversations that suit your introverted nature. Now, let's focus on deepening those relationships, handling small talk without dread, and setting boundaries to avoid social overload. We'll end with an action checklist to keep you moving forward. Your ability to build meaningful connections isn't just a skill, it's a gift that creates lasting impact. Let's make it sustainable and fulfilling. Once you've sparked a connection, the next step is deepening relationships to make them stronger and more meaningful. Introverts excel at this because your empathy and thoughtfulness create trust. A 2020 study in Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that relationships built on mutual understanding and shared values are 50% more likely to last than those based on frequent contact alone. This is your strength. You don't need to see someone every day to build a bond. You make moments count. Here's a practical strategy. Use the shared experience plan. Identify one person you want to grow closer to, a friend, colleague, or family member. Think of a low-pressure activity you both enjoy, like watching a movie, cooking together, or taking a walk. Invite them with a specific plan, like, "Hey, I'm watching a new documentary this weekend. Want to join me and chat about it after?" Keep it simple and focused on quality time. During the activity, share one personal thought or story like, "This reminds me of a trip I took last year." This invites them to open up, deepening the bond. Try this once in the next 2 weeks and notice how it strengthens your connection. Research from the University of Oxford 2019 shows that shared activities increase feelings of closeness by 35%. Let's see this in action. Meet Tom, a graphic designer who felt disconnected from his co-workers because he avoided office happy hours. He wanted to bond with his teammate Lisa, who shared his love of art. Tom invited her to a local gallery exhibit, suggesting they grab coffee afterward to discuss it. During the visit, he mentioned a painting that reminded him of a childhood memory, and Lisa shared a similar story. That one afternoon turned their work relationship into a genuine friendship. Tom's story shows that introverts can build deep connections by choosing meaningful moments over forced socializing. Next, let's tackle handling small talk gracefully. Small talk often feels like a hurdle for introverts. It's surface level and exhausting, especially at parties or networking events. But you don't have to love it. You just need a way to navigate it until you reach deeper ground. The key is to see small talk as a bridge, not a destination. As author Neil Gaiman, an introvert, once said, "The world always seems brighter when you've just made something that wasn't there before." Think of small talk as creating an opening for something real. Try this. Use the redirect technique. When you're stuck in small talk, answer briefly, then pivot to a question that invites depth. For example, if someone asks, "How's work?" say, "It's been busy. How about you? What's the most interesting project you're working on?" This shifts the conversation to something more engaging. Practice this in your next casual interaction, aiming to redirect once. If you're at an event, set a goal to have 3 short conversations, each lasting 5 minutes, using this technique. A 2021 study in social psychological and personality science found that redirecting small talk to meaningful topics increases conversation satisfaction by 40%. You're not faking it, you're steering it. If small talk still feels awkward, prepare a conversation exit plan to stay in control. Before an event, decide how long you'll stay, say 45 minutes, and have a polite exit line ready like, "It was great chatting. I'm going to step out for some air." This reduces anxiety and lets you engage without feeling trapped. Try this at your next social gathering and notice how it frees you to connect on your terms. Now let's focus on setting boundaries for social overload. Introverts can feel overwhelmed by too many social commitments, especially when friends or colleagues expect you to keep up with their pace. Saying no is hard, but it's essential for protecting your energy and prioritizing the relationships that matter. A 2022 study in Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who set clear social boundaries report 30% lower stress and stronger relationships because they're fully present when they do connect. Here's how. Create a social energy budget. Each week, decide how much social time you can handle, maybe 2 events or 3 hours total. When an invitation comes, check it against your budget. If it doesn't fit, use your polite decline script from earlier, like, "Thanks for inviting me, but I'm keeping things quiet this week. Can we plan a catch-up soon?" Then, redirect that energy to a meaningful connection, like calling a close friend or spending time on a shared experience plan. Try this for 1 week, tracking how it feels to honor your limits. If you're worried about disappointing others, remind yourself that quality trumps quantity. Your best self shows up when you're not stretched thin. Let's bring this to life with a story. Sarah, a nurse, loved her friends, but felt drained by constant group outings. She made a social energy budget, limiting herself to 1 social event per week. When invited to a loud party, she declined, saying, "I'm taking it easy this weekend, but let's grab lunch soon." Instead, she invited her friend Maria for a quiet hike, where they talked deeply about life. That choice left Sarah energized and strengthened their bond. Sarah's story proves that boundaries don't weaken connections, they make them richer. As you build and deepen relationships, remember that your introverted approach is a strength, not a flaw. Author Toni Morrison, an introvert, wrote, "You are your best thing." Your ability to listen, reflect, and connect deeply makes you a gift to those around you. Keep nurturing those connections, 1 intentional step at a time. Action checklist. Building meaningful connections. 1. Make a connection wish list, identifying 3 types of people you want to connect with and 1 place to meet each. Attend or engage in 1 within 2 weeks. 2. Practice the 2-question rule in 1 conversation this week, asking a light question and a follow-up to spark depth. 3. Invite 1 person for a shared experience plan, like a movie or walk, and share 1 personal thought during it. 4. Use the redirect technique in 1 small talk conversation, pivoting to a meaningful question. 5. Create a social energy budget for 1 week, declining 1 event that doesn't fit and redirecting energy to a meaningful connection. These steps are your blueprint for creating connections that feel authentic and energizing. Start with 1, then add another. Your quiet way of connecting is changing lives, yours and theirs. Chapter 4. Mastering Social Overwhelm. You're at a party, the room buzzing with laughter, music, and overlapping conversations. Your heart races, your head feels foggy, and all you want is a quiet corner to catch your breath. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. As an introvert, Social overwhelm can hit hard, turning exciting events into exhausting ordeals. But you don't have to avoid social settings or grit your teeth through them. This chapter will show you how to manage sensory and social overload, stay grounded in high-energy environments, and leave feeling energized, not drained. Your quiet nature is your guide. Let's learn to navigate the noise with confidence. Social overwhelm happens because your brain processes stimulation differently. A 2018 study in Neuroscience Letters found that introverts show heightened activity in the amygdala, the brain's emotional center, when exposed to loud noises or crowded spaces. This means parties, conferences, or even busy family gatherings can feel like a sensory assault, leaving you tired or anxious. But this sensitivity isn't a flaw, it's a sign of your deep awareness. As artist Frida Kahlo, an introvert, once said, "I paint my own reality." You can shape your social reality too, with strategies that honor your wiring. The first step is understanding your triggers. Overwhelm often comes from a mix of sensory input, like loud music or bright lights, and social demands, like constant conversation. Knowing what sets you off helps you prepare. For example, a crowded networking event might overwhelm you with its noise and pressure to mingle, while a dinner party might feel manageable until small talk drags on. A 2020 survey by The Quiet Revolution found that 68% of introverts feel most overwhelmed by large, unstructured social events. By identifying your triggers, you can plan ahead and stay in control. Here's how to start. Create a trigger tracker. Over the next week, note one social situation each day that feels overwhelming, even slightly. Write down the setting, what happened, and how you felt. For example, team happy hour, loud bar, felt drained after 20 minutes. Also note what helped, like stepping outside or focusing on one person. After a week, review your notes. You'll see patterns, like bars always drain you, but small gatherings don't. This exercise, inspired by stress management research, helps you predict and prepare for overwhelm. A 2019 study in Journal of Behavioral Medicine found that tracking stresses increases coping ability by 25%. Your awareness is your first line of defense. Now let's move to proactive strategies for managing sensory overload. Sensory overload, caused by noise, lights, or crowds, can make social events feel unbearable. The key is to prepare your environment and your mind before you go. One effective tool is the Calm Kit. This is a small set of items to help you stay grounded. Include earplugs to dull noise, sunglasses to soften bright lights, a calming scent like lavender oil, and a phone with a soothing playlist. Keep it in a small bag or pocket for easy access. Before an event, test one item, like wearing earplugs for 10 minutes to get comfortable using it. Here's a step. Pick one upcoming social event, like a work party or family gathering. Decide which Calm Kit item you'll use and practice with it once beforehand. For example, if you choose earplugs, wear them during a noisy commute to see how they help. At the event, use your item when you feel overwhelm creeping in. If you're worried about looking out of place, know that many people use earplugs or step away briefly. No one will judge. A 2021 study in Frontiers in Psychology found that sensory reduction tools reduce anxiety in overstimulating environments by 30%. Your Calm Kit is your shield. Carry it proudly. Let's see this in action. Meet Priya, a teacher who loved her students but dreaded school fundraisers packed with parents and music. She made a trigger tracker and noticed loud environments were her biggest issue. She created a Calm Kit with earplugs and a calming playlist. At the next fundraiser, she wore earplugs during the loudest parts and stepped outside for 5 minutes to listen to her music. Instead of leaving early, she stayed an hour, connecting with a few parents. Priya's story shows that small tools can make big events manageable. Next, let's tackle managing social overload, the pressure to talk, perform, or keep up with group dynamics. Social overload often hits when you feel trapped in conversations or expected to be on for too long. The solution is to plan your engagement strategically so you can connect without burning out. One powerful strategy is the time-limited plan. Before an event, decide how long you'll stay, say 45 minutes, and set a specific goal, like talking to 2 people. This gives you structure and permission to leave when you're ready. Try this. For your next social event, set a time limit and one goal. For example, at a friend's party, aim to stay 30 minutes and have one good conversation. Tell a trusted friend or partner your plan so they can support you leaving on time. Have an exit line ready, like, "It was great seeing everyone. I need to head out for an early start tomorrow." Practice this line twice before the event to feel confident. When you follow through, you'll feel in control, not overwhelmed. A 2022 study in Journal of Anxiety Disorders found that setting time boundaries in social settings reduces stress by 35%. Your plan is your power. Use it. Another tool is the anchor person strategy. If you're attending a large event, identify one person you feel comfortable with, your anchor. This could be a friend, coworker, or even a familiar host. Spend most of your time near them, using their presence as a safe base. If you don't know anyone, pick someone who seems approachable, like a quiet guest, and start a short conversation using a question like, "What brought you here?" This anchors you socially, reducing the pressure to mingle constantly. Let's bring this to life with a story. Consider Yo-Yo Ma, the renowned cellist and introvert who navigates high-energy events like galas with grace. He's known for focusing on a few meaningful interactions, often staying near a trusted colleague or friend. At one event, he spent most of his time with a small group, sharing stories about music instead of working the room. His approach shows that you can shine socially by staying true to your nature. As you start managing overwhelm, remember that you're not weak for needing breaks. You're wise for listening to your body. Author Virginia Woolf, an introvert, wrote, "I have 3 entire days alone. I shall enjoy it." Your need for calm is a strength, not a limit. Keep practicing these strategies and social settings will feel less like battles and more like opportunities. You've learned how to identify triggers and use tools like a calm kit to manage sensory overload in social settings. Now let's build on that with advanced techniques to stay grounded during events, recover quickly if overwhelm hits, and protect your energy long-term. We'll wrap up with an action checklist to keep you confident in any social storm. Your introverted sensitivity is not a burden. It's a compass guiding you to thrive. Let's keep navigating. Once you're in a high-energy social setting, the key to avoiding overwhelm is staying grounded in the moment. This means using your mind and body to anchor yourself, even when the room feels chaotic. One powerful technique is mindful breathing. This isn't about deep meditation, it's a quick, discreet way to calm your nervous system. A 2019 study in Journal of Clinical Psychology found that just 1 minute of focused breathing reduces stress hormones by 20%, helping you stay present without feeling flooded. Here's how to do it. During a social event, when you feel tension rising, pause and take 5 slow breaths. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 4, then exhale through your mouth for 6. Do this subtly, maybe while sipping a drink or looking at your phone, so no one notices. Focus on the air moving in and out. Try this once at home first, so it feels natural. Then, use it at your next event, aiming for 1 breathing break every 30 minutes. This small habit, rooted in mindfulness research, keeps overwhelm at bay and lets you stay engaged longer. Another grounding tool is the body scan check-in. Social overwhelm often shows up physically: tight shoulders, racing heart, or a clenched jaw. By noticing these signals early, you can act before they spiral. Try this. Every 20 minutes at an event, mentally scan your body from head to toe. Are your shoulders hunched? Is your stomach tight? If you spot tension, adjust. Roll your shoulders, stretch your fingers, or stand taller. Then, take 1 mindful breath. This takes 10 seconds and resets your body. A 2020 study in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience found that brief body awareness exercises reduce overstimulation by 25%. Practice this once today, even in a calm setting, to get comfortable with it. Let's see this in action. Meet Javier, a software engineer who loved his job but dreaded company conferences packed with noise and networking. He started using mindful breathing during breaks, taking 5 slow breaths in a quiet hallway. He also did body scan check-ins during sessions, noticing when his jaw tensed and relaxing it. These habits helped him stay calm through a 3-day conference, where he even made a new professional contact. Javier's story shows that grounding techniques can turn overwhelming events into manageable ones. Now let's talk about recovering from overwhelm when it does hit. Even with preparation, you might hit a wall. Maybe the music gets too loud or a conversation feels too intense. That's okay. The goal isn't to avoid overwhelm entirely, but to bounce back quickly. One effective strategy is the 5-minute reset. If you feel flooded, step away to a quiet space, a bathroom, a car, or even a corner of the room. Set a timer for 5 minutes and do one calming activity. Listen to a soothing song, sip water slowly, or focus on an object like a tree outside. This creates a mental break, letting your nervous system reset. Here's a step. Before your next social event, pick one 5-minute reset activity and practice it once at home. For example, listen to a favorite song and notice how it calms you. At the event, if overwhelm hits, use your reset. Tell others you need a quick break like, "I'll be right back, I just need some air." No one will mind and you'll return feeling clearer. A 2021 study in Journal of Occupational Health Psychology found that short breaks during high-stress situations improve mood by 30%. Your reset is your lifeline. Use it without guilt. If you're worried about frequent overwhelm, try the post-event recovery ritual. After a social event, give yourself 15 minutes to decompress as soon as you're home. This could be sitting quietly with a cup of tea, journaling about the experience, or doing a gentle stretch. The key is consistency. Make it a habit, like brushing your teeth. For example, write 3 sentences about what went well and 1 thing you'd do differently next time. This helps you process the event and feel prepared for the next one. A 2022 study in emotion found that reflective journaling after social stress reduces anxiety by 35%. Try this after your next event and notice how it restores your energy. Let's bring this to life with a story. Consider Ruth Bader Ginsburg, an introvert and former Supreme Court justice, who navigated high-stakes social events like legal conferences with poise. She was known for taking brief breaks to regroup, often stepping away to review notes or sip water. After events, she'd unwind with quiet time, listening to opera or reading. Her ability to balance engagement and recovery let her shine in demanding settings while staying true to her nature. You can do the same, one reset at a time. Finally, protect your energy long-term by building resilience. Social overwhelm gets easier to handle with practice, like strengthening a muscle. One way to do this is through micro-exposure practice. Pick a low-stakes social setting that slightly challenges you, like a coffee shop meetup or a small work event. Attend for 20 minutes using one grounding technique like mindful breathing. Over time, increase your stay by 5 minutes. This gradual exposure, backed by research in behavior therapy 2020, reduces social anxiety by 40% over 6 weeks. Start with one micro-exposure this month and track how it feels. As you master social overwhelm, remember that your sensitivity is a strength. Author Haruki Murakami, an introvert, wrote, "If you only read the books that everyone else is reading, you can only think what everyone else is thinking." Your unique perspective, shaped by your need for calm, makes you a gift to any room. Keep practicing, and you'll turn overwhelm into opportunity. Action checklist. Mastering social overwhelm. 1. Create a trigger tracker for 1 week, noting one social situation daily and what helps you cope. 2. Build a calm kit with one item like earplugs and use it at your next social event. 3. Practice mindful breathing once at home, then use it for one breathing break at an event. 4. Do a body scan check-in once today, then use it every 20 minutes at your next social gathering. 5. Plan a 5-minute reset for your next event, picking one calming activity and practicing it beforehand. These steps are your toolkit for thriving in social settings. Start with one, then build from there. Your quiet strength is rewriting how you experience the world. Keep going. Chapter 5. Communicating with impact. You've probably been told to speak up or be more assertive at some point, as if your quiet nature is a barrier to influence. But here's the truth. As an introvert, your thoughtful, deliberate way of communicating is a strength that can move rooms, shift perspectives, and build trust. This chapter will show you how to harness your natural gifts, clarity, empathy, and precision to communicate with impact, whether in a meeting, a presentation, or a one-on-one conversation. We'll focus on speaking up effectively, preparing strategically, and using your voice in ways that feel authentic. Your words matter. Let's make them count. Introverts are often underestimated as communicators because they don't dominate conversations or seek the spotlight, yet their measured approach can be incredibly powerful. A 2019 study in Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who speak less but with clear intent are rated 30% more persuasive than those who talk more but with less substance. Your ability to think before you speak, listen deeply, and choose your words carefully is a gift. As author Ernest Hemingway, an introvert, once said, "When people talk, listen completely. Most people never listen." Your listening sets the stage for impact. Now let's build on it. The first step is owning your communication style. Introverts often feel pressure to mimic extroverted traits, like talking fast or filling silences, but this can feel forced and drain your energy. Instead, embrace your natural pace and depth. For example, consider Angela Merkel, the former German chancellor and introvert, whose calm, deliberate speaking style earned her global respect. She didn't shout or interrupt. She delivered concise, well-thought-out points that commanded attention. You can do the same by focusing on quality over quantity. Here's how to start. Create a communication strengths inventory. Grab a notebook and list 3 ways you already communicate well. Maybe you're great at explaining complex ideas, writing clear emails, or asking thoughtful questions. For each, write one example like, "I helped a colleague understand a project by breaking it down step by step." Then, list one area you want to improve, like speaking up in meetings or handling interruptions. This exercise, inspired by strengths-based coaching, helps you see your foundation and set a clear goal. A 2020 study in applied psychology found that focusing on existing strengths boosts communication confidence by 25%. Try this today and keep your list handy as we move forward. Now let's focus on speaking up effectively in group settings, like meetings or discussions, where introverts often feel overlooked. The key is preparation and timing, not volume. You don't need to talk the most, you need to say something memorable. One powerful strategy is the one-point plan. Before a meeting or group conversation, decide on one key point you want to share. Write it down in a single sentence like, "I suggest we prioritize customer feedback to improve our product." Practice saying it aloud twice to feel confident. In the discussion, wait for a natural pause, then deliver your point clearly and concisely. Here's a step. Pick one upcoming group setting, like a work meeting or family discussion. Use the one-point plan, preparing your sentence and practicing it. When you speak, make eye contact with one person to ground yourself. If you're nervous, take a slow breath before starting. After, note how it felt and what response you got. This builds your confidence over time. A 2021 study in organizational behavior and human decision processes found that concise contributions in meetings are rated 35% more impactful than longer, less focused ones. Your single thoughtful point can shift the conversation. Trust it. If you're worried about being interrupted or ignored, try the bridge technique. If someone cuts you off, wait for them to finish, then calmly bridge back to your point, like, "To build on what was just said, I think we should also consider X." This shows you're engaged while reclaiming your space. Practice this once in a low-stakes conversation, like with a friend, to get comfortable. It's a subtle way to assert yourself without feeling aggressive. Let's see this in action. Meet Lena, a financial analyst who felt invisible in her team's strategy meetings. She started using the one-point plan, preparing a single suggestion for each meeting, like recommending a new budgeting tool. She'd wait for a lull, then share her point clearly. When interrupted, she used the bridge technique to steer back. Over time, her manager noticed her insights, and she was invited to lead a project. Lena's story shows that small, strategic steps can make your voice heard. Next, let's tackle preparing for high-stakes communication, like presentations or important conversations. Introverts often shine here because they excel at planning and reflecting. The key is to prepare in a way that boosts confidence without overwhelming you. One effective tool is the three-part prep. Break your preparation into 3 parts: content, delivery, and mindset. For content, outline your main points. Aim for 3 key ideas, each with one supporting example. For delivery, practice your opening and closing lines aloud, as these set the tone. For mindset, visualize yourself speaking calmly and being well received. Try this. Pick one upcoming communication moment, like a work presentation or a talk with a friend. Use the 3-part prep. Spend 10 minutes outlining your 3 points, 5 minutes practicing your opening and closing, and 2 minutes visualizing success. For example, if you're pitching an idea, your opening might be, "I've been thinking about how we can improve our process," and your closing, "I'd love to hear your thoughts on next steps." This structure, backed by research in Public Speaking Quarterly 2020, reduces preparation stress by 40%. Do this once this week and notice how prepared you feel. Let's bring this to life with a story. Consider Satya Nadella, Microsoft's CEO and an introvert, known for his clear, empathetic communication. When he took over as CEO, he prepared meticulously for his first company-wide address, focusing on 3 core messages about innovation and collaboration. He practiced his delivery to feel natural and visualized a positive response. His thoughtful approach won over employees and set the tone for his leadership. You don't need to lead a company to use this. Your next conversation is your stage. As you start communicating with impact, remember that your quiet presence is a strength. Poet Mary Oliver, an introvert, wrote, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" Your voice is part of that plan. Use it to share your ideas, connect with others, and shape your world. Keep practicing and you'll see your words ripple outward. You've learned how to speak up with confidence in group settings and prepare for high-stakes moments like presentations. Now, let's take your communication to the next level by leveraging your writing strengths, navigating conflict with calm authority, and building habits to make your voice a consistent force. We'll end with an action checklist to keep you on track. Your introverted approach, thoughtful, clear, and authentic, is already changing how people see you. Let's make it unstoppable. One of the most powerful tools in your communication arsenal is writing. Introverts often express themselves best in writing, where they can reflect, refine, and convey ideas without the pressure of real-time interaction. A 2020 study in Journal of Business and Technical Communication found that written communication is rated 25% more persuasive when it's concise and well-structured, qualities introverts naturally excel at. Whether it's an email, a project proposal, or a personal note, your writing can amplify your impact in ways that speaking sometimes can't. Here's a practical strategy. Use the power email method. This is a way to communicate key ideas in writing that gets noticed. Pick one situation this week where you want to make an impact, like proposing an idea at work or thanking a colleague. Write an email with 3 parts. A clear opening, e.g., "I've been thinking about our project timeline." A concise main point with one supporting detail, e.g., "I suggest we adjust deadlines to improve quality based on last month's feedback." And a specific call to action, e.g., "Can we discuss this in our next meeting?" Keep it under 150 words. Before sending, read it aloud to ensure it sounds like you. This method, rooted in professional communication research, increases response rates by 30%. Try it once and notice how your words land. Let's see this in action. Meet Claire, a museum curator who struggled to speak up in staff meetings but loved writing. She started using the power email method to share exhibit ideas. After a meeting, she sent her director a short email outlining a new display concept with a clear rationale and a request for feedback. Her director was impressed by her clarity and invited her to present the idea to the board. Claire's writing opened doors her voice hadn't yet reached. Your words can do the same. Start typing. Another way to leverage writing is through the reflection note. This is a quick way to clarify your thoughts before a conversation or meeting. Before a discussion, spend 5 minutes writing down your main goal and one key point you want to make. For example, if you're meeting a client, write goal, build trust, point, highlight our team's expertise. This sharpens your focus and boosts confidence. A 2019 study in Journal of Applied Psychology found that pre-writing improves communication clarity by 20%. Try this before your next important talk and keep the note nearby as a reminder. Now, let's tackle handling conflict with confidence. Conflict, whether it's a disagreement with a coworker or a tense family discussion, can feel daunting for introverts, who often avoid confrontation to preserve energy. But you don't need to be loud to resolve issues effectively. Your empathy and thoughtfulness make you a natural at finding solutions. A 2021 study in conflict management and peace science found that calm, empathetic communicators are 35% more likely to resolve disputes successfully. The key is preparation and composure. One effective strategy is the calm response framework. When conflict arises, pause for a moment to breathe and think. Then respond in 3 steps. Acknowledge the other person's perspective, e.g., "I hear that you're frustrated with the delay." State your view clearly, e.g., "I think the delay was due to unexpected supply issues," and propose a solution, e.g., "Let's set a new timeline together." This keeps the conversation constructive and shows you're engaged. Practice this once in a low-stakes situation, like a minor disagreement with a friend, to build confidence. For example, say, "I see you wanted to meet earlier. I had a scheduling conflict. Can we find a time that works for both?" If emotions run high, use the pause and reflect tactic. If you feel overwhelmed, say, "I'd like to think this over. Can we talk again tomorrow?" This buys you time to process and respond thoughtfully. Write down your thoughts using the reflection note to clarify your stance. Then follow up with the calm response framework. This approach, backed by conflict resolution research, reduces escalation by 40%. Try it the next time a conversation gets tense, and notice how it keeps you in control. Let's bring this to life with a story. Consider Indra Nooyi, former PepsiCo CEO and an introvert, known for resolving corporate conflicts with empathy and precision. During a heated boardroom debate over a product launch, she listened carefully, acknowledged differing views, and proposed a compromise that balanced innovation and risk. Her calm, written follow-up memo sealed the deal. Nooyi's approach shows that introverts can lead through conflict by staying true to their strengths. You can do this too, one thoughtful response at a time. Finally, build communication habits to make impact a natural part of your life. Consistency turns skills into strengths. One habit to start is the daily voice practice. Each day, spend 2 minutes practicing one communication skill, like saying a clear sentence aloud or writing a concise paragraph. For example, practice a greeting like, "Hi, I'm excited to share my update today." This builds muscle memory, making it easier to speak up when it counts. A 2020 study in behavior research and therapy found that daily micro-practices improve skill confidence by 30%. Start this habit tomorrow and track it for a week. As you grow your communication skills, remember that your voice, written or spoken, is a gift. Author Zadie Smith, an introvert, wrote, "The past is always tense, the future perfect." Your past struggles with communication don't define you. Your future impact will. Keep practicing, and your words will shape the world around you. Action checklist. Communicating with impact. 1. Create a communication strengths inventory, listing 3 strengths and 1 area to improve. 2. Use the 1-point plan for 1 group setting this week, preparing and delivering a single key point. 3. Practice the 3-part prep for 1 high-stakes communication, outlining content, delivery, and mindset. 4. Write 1 power email this week, using the 3-part structure to share an idea or request. 5. Apply the calm response framework in 1 disagreement, acknowledging, stating your view, and proposing a solution. These steps are your roadmap to communicating with impact. Start with 1, then add another. Your quiet voice is already powerful. Now it's time to let it soar. Chapter 6. Designing an introvert-friendly life. Your life doesn't have to feel like a constant battle against overstimulation. As an introvert, you thrive when your environment and routines support your need for calm, focus, and reflection. This chapter will show you how to design a life that fits your nature, spaces that soothe, schedules that energize, and habits that sustain you. We'll focus on creating a supportive physical and mental space, managing your time to balance social and solo moments, and building rituals that recharge you. Your quiet energy is precious. Let's craft a life that protects and amplifies it. Introverts are deeply influenced by their surroundings. A 2019 study in environment and behavior found that quiet, clutter-free spaces reduce stress for introverts by 30% more than for extroverts, because your brain is more sensitive to sensory input. This isn't just about aesthetics, it's about survival. A noisy, chaotic environment can drain you faster than a day of meetings, while a calm, intentional space can restore your energy. As author Annie Dillard, an introvert, wrote, "How we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives." Let's spend your days in a way that feels like home. The first step is creating a physical space that supports you. Your home, workspace, or even a corner of a room can become a sanctuary if you design it with intention. The goal is to minimize sensory overload and maximize calm. Think of it like curating a personal retreat, a place where your mind can breathe. For example, author Haruki Murakami, an introvert, writes in a minimalist office with soft lighting and no distractions, which fuels his creativity. You don't need a fancy setup, just a space that feels like yours. Here's how to start. Create a calm corner. Pick one area in your home or workplace, like a chair by a window or a desk nook. Spend 15 minutes decluttering it. Remove papers, gadgets, or anything that feels chaotic. Add one calming element like a plant, a candle, or a cozy blanket. If noise is an issue, keep earplugs or a white noise machine nearby. Test your calm corner for 5 minutes today. Sit there, close your eyes, and notice how it feels. Over the next week, spend 10 minutes daily in this space, doing something quiet like reading or journaling. A 2020 study in Journal of Environmental Psychology found that personalized, low-stimulation spaces improve focus for introverts by 35%. Your calm corner is your anchor. Build it with care. If you share your space with others, communicate your needs clearly. For example, say, "I'm setting up a quiet spot for focus. Can we keep this area calm during mornings?" This sets a boundary without conflict. If you're in a busy office, use headphones or a small desk plant to signal your need for focus. These small tweaks make a big difference. Let's see this in action. Meet Sophia, a freelance writer who felt overwhelmed in her cluttered apartment. She created a calm corner by clearing a small table, adding a lamp with soft light, and keeping a notebook for ideas. She spent 10 minutes there each morning, sipping tea and planning her day. The space became her refuge, helping her write more clearly and feel less frazzled. Sophia's story shows that a small, intentional space can transform your daily experience. Next, let's focus on designing a mental space for clarity. Your mind can feel as cluttered as a messy room, especially when social demands or work stress pile up. Creating mental space means carving out time for reflection and protecting your inner calm. Introverts recharge through solitude, but modern life, emails, notifications, obligations, can make that hard to find. A 2021 study in personality and individual differences found that introverts who schedule daily solo time report 40% higher life satisfaction than those who don't. This is your superpower. When you give your mind room to breathe, you unlock focus and creativity. One practical strategy is the morning recharge ritual. This is a 10-minute habit to start your day with calm and intention. Pick one quiet activity you enjoy, like journaling, stretching, or listening to soft music. Do it before checking your phone or engaging with others. For example, spend 10 minutes writing 3 things you're grateful for or sketching a quick idea. Set up your calm corner to make this ritual inviting. Try this tomorrow morning and commit to it for 5 days. If mornings don't work, shift it to another quiet time like after lunch. A 2020 study in Journal of Positive Psychology found that morning rituals reduce stress by 25% and boost focus for the day. Your ritual is your mental reset. Make it sacred. If you live with others or have a demanding job, protect this time by setting a clear boundary. For example, tell your family, "I need 10 minutes alone each morning to start my day. It helps me be my best." If interruptions happen, gently reinforce the boundary, like, "I'll be ready to chat after my quick recharge." This small habit builds a mental space that carries you through the day. Let's bring this to life with a story. Consider Albert Einstein, an introvert who relied on solitude to spark his groundbreaking ideas. He often started his day with quiet walks or time alone in his study, letting his mind wander. This mental space helped him solve problems others couldn't. You don't need to be a genius to benefit. Your morning recharge ritual can unlock your own insights, whether you're solving a work challenge or planning a personal goal. Now let's tackle managing your time to balance social and solo moments. Introverts need a mix of meaningful connection and restorative solitude, but it's easy to overcommit socially and run out of energy. The key is intentional scheduling. A 2022 study in Journal of Occupational Health Psychology found that introverts who control their schedules report 30% lower burnout rates. You don't need a perfect calendar, just a plan that honors your needs. Try this. Use the energy-based calendar. For 1 week, track your social and solo activities in a notebook or app. Note how each makes you feel, energized or drained. For example, lunch with a friend, fun but tiring after an hour. Then plan the next week with a balance, no more than 2 social events and at least 2 solo blocks of 30 minutes each for activities like reading or thinking. Schedule your solo time first, treating it as non-negotiable, like a meeting. If an invitation comes up, check it against your energy limits before saying yes. A 2021 study in Time Management Review found that prioritizing restorative time increases productivity by 20%. Try this for 1 week and notice how it feels to own your time. As you design your introvert-friendly life, remember that small changes create big shifts. Author E.B. White, an introvert, wrote, "I arise in the morning torn between a desire to improve the world and a desire to enjoy the world." Your calm spaces and routines let you do both, enjoy your inner world and share your gifts with others. Keep building one step at a time. You've started building a life that supports your introverted nature by creating a calm physical space and carving out mental clarity. Now, let's take it further by optimizing your daily routines, balancing social and solo time, and making these changes stick. We'll end with an action checklist to keep you moving forward. Your life can be a sanctuary of energy and purpose. Let's design it with intention. Daily routines are the backbone of an introvert-friendly life. They give you structure to recharge while navigating a world that often demands more than you can give. The key is to make your routines simple and sustainable, so they work even on busy days. A 2020 study in Journal of Happiness Studies found that consistent daily routines increase well-being for introverts by 35% because they reduce decision fatigue and create predictable moments of calm. Think of your routine as a rhythm, not a rigid rule. It should feel like a gentle flow that carries you through the day. One powerful strategy is the evening wind-down ritual. This is a 10-minute habit to close your day, helping you process stimulation and prepare for restful sleep. Pick one calming activity, like reading a book, doing light stretches, or writing a quick reflection. For example, spend 10 minutes listing 3 things that went well today and 1 thing you're looking forward to tomorrow. Do this in a quiet space, away from screens, to signal to your brain that the day is done. Try this tonight and commit to it for 5 evenings. A 2021 study in sleep medicine found that evening relaxation routines improve sleep quality for introverts by 30%, which boosts energy for the next day. Your wind down is your reset. Make it a priority. If you share your space or have evening obligations, protect this time by communicating your needs. For example, tell your partner or roommates, "I'm taking 10 minutes to unwind each evening. It helps me recharge." If interruptions happen, gently redirect, like, "I'll join you after my quick wind down." This small boundary ensures your ritual stays consistent, giving you a daily dose of calm. Let's see this in action. Meet Liam, a social worker who felt drained by his client-heavy days. He started an evening wind-down ritual, spending 10 minutes each night journaling about positive moments, like a client's progress. He did this in a quiet bedroom corner, using a soft lamp to keep it soothing. The ritual helped him sleep better and start mornings with more energy. Liam's story shows that a small evening habit can transform how you feel day to day. Next, let's focus on balancing social and solo time to sustain your energy long-term. Introverts need both meaningful connections and restorative solitude, but the balance is delicate. Too much socializing can leave you depleted, while too much isolation can feel lonely. A 2022 study in Journal of Personality found that introverts who allocate 60% of their free time to solo activities and 40% to social ones report optimal energy levels. This isn't about strict math. It's about listening to your body and planning accordingly. One practical tool is the weekly energy audit. Each Sunday, spend 5 minutes reviewing the week ahead. Write down all planned social activities, work meetings, friend hangouts, family events, and estimate their energy cost, low, medium, high. For example, a coffee date might be low while a party is high. Then, schedule at least 3 solo activities to balance them, like 30 minutes of reading, a solo walk, or quiet hobby time. Aim for 1 solo block daily, even if it's just 15 minutes. If your week looks too social, decline 1 low-priority event, using a polite script like, "Thanks for the invite, but I'm keeping things quiet this week. Let's plan something soon." Try this audit for 1 week and adjust as needed. A 2020 study in Time Management Review found that proactive scheduling reduces overwhelm by 25%. Your audit is your guide. Use it to stay balanced. If you struggle to say no, practice the priority filter. Before agreeing to a social event, ask yourself, does this align with my top relationships or goals? If it's a casual acquaintance or low-value event, it's okay to pass. For example, prioritize a close friend's dinner over a co-worker's group outing. This filter, inspired by decision-making research, helps you focus on what matters most, preserving energy for meaningful connections. Let's bring this to life with a story. Consider Georgia O'Keeffe, the introverted artist known for her vibrant paintings. She lived in the quiet deserts of New Mexico, balancing solitary painting sessions with selective social visits from close friends. She used a simple schedule to protect her creative time, saying no to distractions that didn't serve her art. Her balanced life fueled her iconic work, showing that introverts can thrive by prioritizing energy. You can do this too, one intentional choice at a time. Finally, make your changes stick by starting small and celebrating progress. Big lifestyle shifts can feel overwhelming, so focus on tiny, repeatable actions that build over time. A 2019 study in behavior research and therapy found that small habits, practiced consistently, increase long-term success by 40%. For example, instead of overhauling your entire day, start with your evening wind-down ritual and add one solo block to your week. Each week, add one new habit, like using your weekly energy audit. To stay motivated, reward yourself after each step. Maybe a favorite tea after your wind down, or a quiet movie night after a balanced week. These immediate rewards make habits feel irresistible. As you design your life, remember that you're not just managing energy, you're creating a foundation for joy and impact. Author Rainer Maria Rilke, an introvert, wrote, "The only journey is the one within." Your introvert-friendly life is a journey to your best self, built one calm moment at a time. Keep going and watch your days transform. Action checklist: designing an introvert-friendly life. 1. Create a calm corner in your home or workplace, decluttering and adding one calming element, and spend 10 minutes there daily for a week. 2. Start a morning recharge ritual, spending 10 minutes on a quiet activity for 5 days, and communicate your need for this time. 3. Use the energy-based calendar for 1 week, scheduling at least 3 solo blocks and no more than 2 social events. 4. Try the evening wind-down ritual for 5 evenings, doing one 10-minute calming activity in a quiet space. 5. Conduct a weekly energy audit this Sunday, reviewing social plans and scheduling solo time to balance your energy. These steps are your blueprint for a life that feels like you. Start with 1, then build from there. Your quiet rhythm is shaping a life of purpose and peace. Keep crafting it. Chapter 7. Overcoming self-doubt and comparison. You're not alone if you've ever felt like you're not enough, not loud enough, not outgoing enough, not enough to stand out in a world that seems to reward extroversion. Self-doubt and comparison can creep into your mind, whispering that you need to be someone else to succeed. But as an introvert, your quiet strength is already enough. This chapter will show you how to silence those inner critics, reframe negative thoughts, and build unshakable confidence in your unique gifts. We'll focus on understanding why self-doubt hits introverts hard, shifting your mindset, and taking practical steps to rise above comparison. Your worth is not up for debate. Let's prove it to yourself. Self-doubt often feels personal, but for introverts, it's partly rooted in a culture that celebrates extroverted ideals, charisma, quick wit, and constant visibility. A 2019 study in personality and individual differences found that introverts are 40% more likely to experience imposter syndrome, the feeling that their successes are undeserved or that they'll be found out as less capable. This isn't because you're lacking, it's because the world's loud standards don't always match your quiet strengths. But here's the truth. Your thoughtfulness, focus, and empathy are rare and valuable. As author Toni Morrison, an introvert, said, "You are your best thing." Your first step is believing that. To overcome self-doubt, you need to understand its triggers. For introverts, doubt often flares up when you compare yourself to extroverted peers, like the colleague who charms every meeting or the friend who thrives in crowds. These moments can make you feel less than, as if your quiet nature is a flaw. Other triggers include high-pressure situations like public speaking or feedback that feels like criticism, even if it's constructive. A 2020 study in Journal of Social Psychology found that introverts internalize negative feedback 30% more than extroverts, which can fuel self-doubt. Knowing your triggers helps you catch doubt early and respond with intention. Here's how to start. Create a doubt diary. For 1 week, carry a small notebook or use your phone to note moments when you feel self-doubt or comparison. Write down the situation, what you thought, and how it felt. For example, meeting at work, thought, "I'm not as confident as Sarah," felt small. Also note what helped, like taking a deep breath or focusing on your work. After a week, review your entries. You'll see patterns, like doubt spiking in group settings or after social events. This exercise, inspired by cognitive behavioral therapy, helps you spot triggers and plan countermeasures. A 2021 study in behavior therapy found that tracking negative thoughts increases self-awareness by 35%. Your doubt diary is your map. Use it to navigate. Let's see this in action. Meet Aisha, a graphic designer who felt inadequate next to her extroverted teammate, who always pitched ideas loudly in meetings. Aisha started a doubt diary and noticed her self-doubt peaked when she compared her quiet style to her teammates' boldness. She realized the trigger wasn't her work, it was the comparison. This insight helped her focus on her strengths, like her detailed designs, and she began sharing them confidently. Aisha's story shows that naming your doubt is the first step to dismantling it. Next, self-doubt thrives on stories you tell yourself like, "I'm too quiet to lead," or "I'll never be as likable as them." These are not facts. They're thoughts you can challenge. Reframing means rewriting these stories to reflect your strengths. For example, instead of "I'm too quiet," try, "My quiet focus helps me solve problems others miss." A 2020 study in Journal of Positive Psychology found that reframing negative thoughts increases self-esteem by 25%, especially for introverts who tend to overthink. Try this. Use the reframe flip. Pick one negative thought from your doubt diary, like, "I'm not good at networking." Write it down, then flip it into a positive statement like, "I build strong one-on-one connections that last." Write 3 reasons why the new statement is true, such as, "I listen well," "I ask thoughtful questions," "I follow up sincerely." Read your reframe aloud once a day for 5 days, ideally in your calm corner from chapter 6. This rewires your mindset, making confidence feel natural. Practice this with one thought this week, and notice how your perspective shifts. If doubt creeps back, repeat the exercise. It's like training a muscle. Another reframing tool is the strength spotlight. When comparison hits, pause and list 3 things you're proud of about yourself. They don't have to be big. Maybe you helped a friend, finished a tough project, or stayed calm under pressure. Write them down and say, "These are proof of my worth." This shifts your focus from what you lack to what you bring. A 2019 study in self and identity found that reflecting on personal strengths reduces comparison-based stress by 30%. Try this once today and keep a running list in your doubt diary for quick boosts. Let's bring this to life with a story. Consider Abraham Lincoln, an introvert who battled self-doubt throughout his life. He once wrote, "I am slow to learn and slow to forget." Yet, he reframed his quiet, reflective nature as a strength, using it to craft speeches that united a nation. When he felt overshadowed by louder peers, he focused on his ability to listen and reason, which earned him respect. Lincoln's story shows that reframing doubt can turn your perceived weaknesses into your greatest assets. Now let's start building confidence through action. Self-doubt fades when you prove to yourself that you're capable. The key is small, deliberate steps that feel achievable. One strategy is the micro-win challenge. Pick one area where doubt holds you back, like speaking up or trying something new. Set a tiny goal for this week, like sharing one idea in a meeting or joining a small group activity. Break it into 3 steps. Prepare, e.g. write your idea. Act, e.g. say it. And reflect, e.g. note how it went. After completing your goal, reward yourself with something small, like a favorite snack or 15 minutes of quiet time. A 2022 study in behavior research and therapy found that small rewarded actions boost confidence by 40%. Try one micro-win challenge this week and watch your doubt shrink. As you work on self-doubt, remember that you're not chasing perfection, you're chasing progress. Author Jane Austen, an introvert, wrote, "We have all a better guide in ourselves, if we would attend to it, than any other person can be. Your inner guide is strong, listen to it, and let it lead you past doubt and comparison." You've started dismantling self-doubt by identifying triggers and reframing negative thoughts. Now let's tackle the other half of the equation: comparison, the habit of measuring yourself against others' highlight reels. We'll also focus on building a supportive inner circle to reinforce your confidence and keep doubt at bay. This section will give you practical tools to stop comparing, surround yourself with allies, and lock in your progress with an action checklist. Your introverted strengths are enough. Let's make sure you feel it every day. Comparison is a thief of joy, especially for introverts who often compare their quiet nature to extroverted ideals. You might look at a colleague's bold presentation or a friend's packed social calendar and think, "Why can't I be like that?" But comparison distorts reality. It pits your inner struggles against someone else's curated surface. A 2020 study in social psychological and personality science found that frequent comparison reduces self-esteem by 35%, particularly for introverts who internalize external standards. The good news? You can break this cycle by redirecting your focus to your own path. One powerful strategy is the focus shift exercise. When you catch yourself comparing, pause and redirect your attention to something you control. For example, if you think, "They're so much better at networking," shift to, "What's one small way I can connect today?" Write down one actionable step, like sending a thoughtful message to a colleague or practicing a conversation starter. Then do it within 24 hours. This rewires your brain to focus on progress, not gaps. Try this 3 times this week. Catch a comparison, write a step, and act. A 2021 study in Journal of Positive Psychology found that action-based focus shifts reduce comparison-driven stress by 30%. Your energy is too valuable for someone else's scorecard. Spend it on your growth. Another tool is the gratitude anchor. Comparison thrives when you focus on what you lack, but gratitude flips the script. Each day, write down one thing you appreciate about yourself or your life. It could be your ability to listen, a recent success, or even a quiet moment you enjoyed. Keep these in a notebook or a note on your phone. When comparison hits, read 3 entries to ground yourself. For example, remind yourself, "I helped a friend yesterday," or "I love my ability to focus deeply." A 2019 study in emotion found that daily gratitude practices increase self-worth by 25%, especially for introverts. Start this tonight and add 1 gratitude note daily for a week. Your strengths will start to feel louder than any comparison. Let's see this in action. Meet Raj, a teacher who constantly compared his reserved style to his extroverted principal's charisma. He started the focus shift exercise, catching thoughts like, "I'll never inspire students like she does," and redirecting to steps like, "I'll share one engaging story in class today." He also kept a gratitude anchor, noting moments like, "A student thanked me for listening." Over weeks, Raj's confidence grew, and students began seeking him out for advice. Raj's story shows that shifting focus and grounding in gratitude can quiet comparison and amplify your impact. Now, let's talk about cultivating a supportive inner circle. Self-doubt and comparison fade faster when you're surrounded by people who see and value your strengths. Introverts don't need a huge network, just a few allies who respect your quiet nature and cheer your progress. A 2022 study in Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that having just 3 supportive relationships increases confidence by 40% for introverts because quality connections outweigh quantity. Your inner circle is your safety net. Build it with care. One practical strategy is the ally audit. Take 10 minutes to list the people you interact with regularly: friends, family, colleagues. For each, note whether they lift you up, drain you, or feel neutral. Lifting people celebrate your wins, respect your need for space, and inspire you to grow. Draining ones might criticize, push you to be more extroverted, or leave you feeling small. Focus on spending more time with your lifters. Pick one person from your list and plan a meaningful interaction this week, like a coffee chat or a thoughtful message. For example, say, "I really value our talks. Want to catch up soon?" If someone drains you, set a gentle boundary, like declining an exhausting invite with, "I'm keeping things low-key this week. Let's connect another time." A 2020 study in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin found that prioritizing supportive relationships reduces self-doubt by 35%. Try this audit today and take one step to nurture a lifting connection. If your circle feels small, start small. Reach out to one person you admire, maybe a colleague who shares your values, or a friend from a past hobby. Use a low-pressure opener like, "I was thinking about our book club days. Any new reads you love?" Introverts excel at deep connections, so one meaningful bond can shift your perspective. If you're hesitant, remember that vulnerability builds trust. Your quiet courage will resonate. Let's bring this to life with a story. Consider Marie Curie, the introverted scientist who won 2 Nobel Prizes. She faced doubt in a male-dominated field, but leaned on a small circle of allies, her husband Pierre and a few trusted colleagues who valued her meticulous mind. When self-doubt crept in, she turned to them for perspective, which fueled her groundbreaking work. Curie's story shows that a supportive circle, no matter how small, can anchor you against doubt. You can build yours, one ally at a time. Finally, lock in your progress by celebrating small wins. Every step you take, whether it's shifting a comparison or connecting with an ally, is proof you're stronger than your doubt. A 2019 study in behavior research and therapy found that acknowledging small successes increases motivation by 30%. After each action in this chapter, pause to celebrate. Maybe treat yourself to a quiet coffee or write, "I did this," in your doubt diary. These micro rewards make confidence a habit. As you overcome self-doubt and comparison, know that you're not just surviving, you're thriving. Author Octavia E. Butler, an introvert, wrote, "Every story I create creates me." Every step you take creates a stronger, more confident you. Keep going and watch your quiet power shine. Action checklist. Overcoming self-doubt and comparison. 1. Create a doubt diary for 1 week, noting moments of self-doubt or comparison and what helps. 2. Practice the reframe flip with one negative thought, rewriting it as a positive and reading it daily for 5 days. 3. Do the strength spotlight once today, listing 3 things you're proud of, and repeat when comparison hits. 4. Try the focus shift exercise 3 times this week, redirecting comparison to an actionable step. 5. Conduct an ally audit, planning one meaningful interaction with a lifting person and setting one boundary with a draining one. These steps are your roadmap to a life free from doubt and comparison. Start with 1, then build from there. Your introverted heart is already enough. Now, let it lead. Chapter 8. Sustaining energy and avoiding burnout. You've worked hard to thrive as an introvert, communicating with impact, building connections, and designing a life that fits your quiet nature. But there's a hidden risk: burnout. The constant demands of an extroverted world, meetings, social events, or even internal pressure to keep up, can drain your energy until you're running on empty. This chapter will show you how to sustain your energy and avoid burnout by recognizing warning signs, protecting your reserves, and building habits that keep you vibrant. Your introverted energy is a flame. Let's keep it burning bright. Burnout isn't just feeling tired. It's a state of emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion that can sap your motivation and joy. Introverts are especially vulnerable because social and sensory stimulation hit you harder. A 2020 study in Journal of Occupational Health Psychology found that introverts report 35% higher rates of burnout in high-interaction jobs, like sales or teaching, due to their need for solitude to recharge. But burnout isn't inevitable. By understanding its causes and acting early, you can stay energized and engaged. As author Audre Lorde, an introvert, wrote, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation." Your energy is worth protecting. Let's start now. The first step is identifying early warning signs of burnout. Burnout creeps in quietly, often disguised as just a bad week. For introverts, signs might include feeling irritable after social events, struggling to focus on tasks you usually enjoy, or dreading interactions you once handled well. Physical clues, like headaches or trouble sleeping, can also signal trouble. A 2019 study in Frontiers in Psychology found that early burnout symptoms are 50% more likely to be missed by introverts, who tend to push through discomfort to meet expectations. Catching these signs early gives you a chance to act before burnout takes hold. Here's how to start. Create an energy check-in log. For 1 week, spend 2 minutes each evening noting your energy level on a scale of 1, drained, to 10, vibrant. Write down one thing that boosted your energy, e.g., 30 minutes reading alone, and one that drained it, e.g., back-to-back meetings. Also note any burnout signs like irritability, fatigue, or feeling detached. For example, energy, 4, boost, quiet lunch break, drain, group brainstorming, felt snappy with a coworker. After a week, review your log for patterns. Are certain activities consistently draining? Are physical or emotional signs showing up? This exercise, inspired by stress monitoring techniques, helps you spot trouble early. A 2021 study in Journal of Behavioral Medicine found that tracking energy levels increases proactive coping by 30%. Your log is your radar. Use it to stay ahead. Let's see this in action. Meet Elena, a librarian who loved her job but started feeling exhausted and detached. She began an energy check-in log and noticed her energy dipped after long patron interactions and spiked during quiet cataloging tasks. She also spotted irritability as an early burnout sign. This insight helped her adjust her schedule to include more solo tasks, preventing burnout. Elena's story shows that paying attention to your energy can save you from a downward spiral. Next, let's focus on protecting your energy reserves with proactive strategies. Introverts lose energy fastest in overstimulating environments. Think open-plan offices, crowded events, or endless notifications. Protecting your reserves means creating buffers to limit these drains before they overwhelm you. One effective tool is the Energy Shield Plan. This is a daily strategy to minimize unnecessary stimulation and prioritize recovery. Pick one draining activity you face regularly, like a noisy commute or a chatty coworker, and plan a specific way to shield yourself. For example, wear noise-canceling headphones during your commute or set a 10-minute limit on casual chats. Here's a step. Identify one draining activity in your week, like a long team meeting. Choose one shield, like taking a 5-minute walk afterward to decompress or preparing a concise contribution to reduce pressure, building on Chapter 5 strategies without repeating them. Test your shield once this week and note the result in your energy check-in log. For example, after a meeting, write, "Walked for 5 minutes, felt calmer." If you're in a high-interaction setting, like a retail job, try micro breaks. Step away for 2 minutes to breathe or sip water. A 2020 study in work and stress found that short recovery breaks reduce burnout risk by 25%. Your energy shield plan is your armor. Wear it daily. Another shield is strategic task batching. Group high-energy tasks, like social calls or meetings, into one part of your day or week, leaving other times for low-energy tasks like writing or planning. For example, schedule all meetings on Tuesday afternoons, keeping mornings for focused work. This minimizes context switching, which drains introverts faster. A 2019 study in Journal of Organizational Behavior found that task batching increases energy efficiency by 20%. Try batching one type of task this week, like emails or social commitments, and notice how it preserves your energy. Let's bring this to life with a story. Consider Bill Gates, an introvert who manages intense demands as a philanthropist. He protects his energy by scheduling think weeks, where he retreats to a quiet cabin to read and reflect, away from meetings or media. During busy periods, he batches public events into short bursts, leaving time for solitude. His approach shows that even in a high-pressure life, introverts can thrive by shielding their energy. You can do this too, one shield at a time. Now let's start building energy-sustaining habits. Small, consistent actions can keep your reserves high and burnout at bay. One habit is the daily energy boost. Each day, do one 5-minute activity that recharges you, like a short walk, listening to a favorite song, or sketching. Schedule it during a natural break, like after lunch, and treat it as non-negotiable. For example, spend 5 minutes in your calm corner, from chapter 6 without repeating specifics, with a cup of tea. Try this for 5 days, noting each boost in your energy check-in log. A 2022 study in Journal of Positive Psychology found that daily micro-recharges increase energy by 30% over a week. Your boost is your fuel. Make it a habit. As you work to sustain your energy, remember that you're not just avoiding burnout, you're building a life of resilience. Author Bell Hooks, an introvert, wrote, "Knowing how to be solitary is central to the art of loving. Your solitude is the root of your strength. Nurture it, and you'll thrive in any storm." You've learned how to spot burnout's early signs and protect your energy with proactive shields. Now let's go deeper with advanced strategies to sustain your energy over the long haul, recover from early burnout symptoms, and lock in habits that keep you thriving. We'll end with an action checklist to make these changes stick. Your introverted energy isn't just a resource, it's the foundation of your strength. Let's keep it vibrant for the long run. Sustaining energy long-term means more than avoiding burnout. It's about creating a lifestyle where you feel consistently engaged and alive. For introverts, this requires intentional choices to prioritize recovery and limit overstimulation. A 2021 study in Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that introverts who incorporate regular recovery periods into their routines report 40% higher life satisfaction than those who don't. The world may demand constant output, but you can design a rhythm that honors your need for calm. One advanced strategy is the energy flow schedule. This is a weekly plan that alternates high-energy tasks, like social events or complex projects, with low-energy ones, like solo work or rest, to maintain balance. Unlike the task batching from earlier chapters, this focuses on pacing your entire week for optimal energy. Start by reviewing your calendar for the next 7 days. Identify one high-energy task each day, like a team meeting or a family gathering, and pair it with a low-energy activity afterward, like 20 minutes of reading or a quiet walk. Limit high-energy tasks to no more than 3 per day, and ensure at least 1 hour of uninterrupted solo time daily. If your schedule feels too packed, move one non-essential task to the next week, using a polite decline like, "I'm booked this week. Can we reschedule for next Tuesday?" Here's a step. Create your energy flow schedule for this week. Write down your high-energy tasks, pair each with a low-energy follow-up, and schedule 1 solo hour daily. Test it for 5 days, noting in a journal how your energy feels each evening. For example, paired meeting with journaling, felt steady. If unexpected demands arise, protect your solo time by saying, "I need an hour to recharge before I can help." A 2020 study in Work and Stress found that balanced scheduling reduces energy depletion by 30%. Try this schedule and notice how it steadies your flow. Another long-term tool is the recharge anchor. This is a recurring activity that deeply restores you, done once a week for 60-90 minutes. It could be a solo hike, a deep dive into a hobby, or time in your calm corner with a favorite book. Unlike daily boosts, this anchor is a bigger commitment to your well-being, giving you something to look forward to. Choose an activity that feels indulgent yet doable, and schedule it like an appointment. For example, block off Saturday mornings for painting or Sunday evenings for a nature walk. If life gets busy, shorten it to 30 minutes, but don't skip it. Try this. Pick one recharge anchor activity and schedule it for this weekend. Tell one person, like a partner or friend, to help you stick to it, saying, "I'm setting aside Sunday for a quiet walk. It's my recharge time." After, write a sentence about how it felt, like, "Walked in the park, felt refreshed." A 2019 study in Journal of Happiness Studies found that weekly restorative activities increase energy resilience by 35%. Your anchor is your lifeline. Hold it tight. Let's see this in action. Meet Priya, a nurse who felt stretched thin by her demanding shifts and family obligations. She created an energy flow schedule, pairing patient rounds with quiet charting time and limiting social events to 2 per week. She also set a recharge anchor. Every Sunday, she spent an hour gardening, which calmed her mind. These habits helped her stay energized and present, earning her praise from colleagues for her steady demeanor. Priya's story shows that intentional pacing can keep you thriving, even in high-pressure roles. Now, let's tackle recovering from early burnout signs. If your energy dips, or you notice symptoms like irritability or detachment, acting fast can prevent a deeper slide. One effective strategy is the mini retreat. This is a 2 to 3 hour block of intentional rest designed to reset your system. Pick a half day this week when you can step away from responsibilities. Turn off notifications, tell others you're unavailable, and spend the time on low-stimulation activities like napping, reading, or sitting in nature. For example, spend 2 hours in a park with a book and a blanket, focusing on calm. Here's how. Plan one mini retreat this week. Block off 2 to 3 hours, communicate your need for uninterrupted time, e.g., "I'm taking a few hours to recharge, let's catch up later," and choose one activity. Afterward, note in your journal how your energy feels, like, "Rested in my backyard, felt lighter." If time is tight, shorten it to 1 hour, but make it fully yours. A 2021 study in Journal of Occupational Health Psychology found that short, deliberate rest periods reduce burnout symptoms by 40%. Your mini retreat is your emergency break. Pull it when you need to. Another recovery tool is the gratitude pause. When burnout signs hit, your mind can spiral into negativity. Counter this by pausing for 2 minutes to write down 3 things you're grateful for, like a supportive friend, a quiet moment, or a small win. This shifts your focus from depletion to abundance. Try this once today and repeat whenever you feel drained. A 2020 study in emotion found that gratitude exercises reduce stress by 25%, especially during high-pressure periods. Your pause is a quick reset. Use it often. Let's bring this to life with a story. Consider Maya Angelou, an introvert who faced intense public demands as a writer and activist. When early burnout signs appeared, like fatigue and irritability, she retreated to her quiet home for short writing sessions or walks, reconnecting with her purpose. These mini retreats kept her grounded, allowing her to share her powerful voice with the world. You can recover like Maya, one intentional pause at a time. As you sustain your energy, remember that you're not just avoiding burnout, you're building a life of resilience and joy. Author Mary Shelley, an introvert, wrote, "The world to me was a secret, which I desired to discover. Your energy lets you uncover that secret, protect it, and you'll discover your fullest self." Action checklist: sustaining energy and avoiding burnout. 1. Create an energy check-in log for 1 week, noting daily energy levels, boosts, drains, and burnout signs. 2. Test an energy shield plan for one draining activity this week, like using headphones or taking a post-task walk. 3. Do a daily energy boost for 5 days, scheduling one 5-minute recharging activity and noting it in your log. 4. Build an energy flow schedule for this week, pairing high-energy tasks with low-energy ones and scheduling one solo hour daily. Plan a mini retreat for 2 to 3 hours this week, choosing one low-stimulation activity and communicating your need for time. These steps are your blueprint for a life full of energy and purpose. Start with one, then add another. Your quiet strength is your power. Keep it burning bright. Chapter 9. Thriving in an Extroverted World. The world often feels like it's built for extroverts, open-plan offices, networking events, and a culture that celebrates being loud and visible. As an introvert, you might feel like you're swimming against the tide, trying to prove your worth in spaces that don't always value your quiet strengths. But you don't need to change who you are to succeed. This chapter will show you how to thrive in an extroverted world by navigating social expectations, leveraging your unique gifts, and creating strategies that let you shine on your terms. Your introversion is not a barrier, it's your edge. Let's make it work for you. Introverts face unique challenges in environments that prioritize constant interaction and quick responses. A 2021 study in Journal of Environmental Psychology found that introverts experience 30% more stress in high-stimulation settings, like noisy workplaces or crowded social events compared to extroverts. This isn't because you're less capable, it's because your brain processes sensory input more deeply, requiring more energy to manage. Yet this same depth gives you an advantage. Your ability to listen, think critically, and connect meaningfully sets you apart. As author Virginia Woolf, an introvert, wrote, "I am rooted, but I flow." Your roots run deep. Let's use them to thrive. The first step is navigating social expectations without losing yourself. Extroverted settings often demand behaviors that feel unnatural to you, like small talk or speaking up in large groups. Instead of mimicking extroverts, you can adapt these moments to suit your strengths. The goal is to engage authentically, not to perform. For example, in a networking event, you don't need to work the room. You can focus on 1 or 2 meaningful conversations, which introverts excel at. Here's how to start. Practice the one-to-one connection strategy. Next time you're in a social or professional setting, like a meeting or a party, set a goal to have one genuine conversation instead of trying to meet everyone. Prepare 3 open-ended questions in advance, like, what's been the highlight of your week? Or what project are you most excited about? These spark deeper responses than small talk, letting you connect without draining your energy. After the interaction, step away for a 5-minute recharge, like a quick walk or a moment alone. Try this once this week and note how it feels in a journal. For example, talk to a co-worker about her new role, felt engaged, not overwhelmed. A 2020 study in Journal of Social Behavior found that introverts who focus on quality over quantity in social interactions report 25% higher satisfaction. Your one-to-one strategy is your secret weapon. Use it to shine. If you're worried about seeming aloof, communicate your style early. For example, at a work event, say, "I love diving deep into a few conversations. Mind if we chat one-on-one?" This sets expectations and shows confidence in your approach. If pressure to mingle persists, deflect gently. "I'll catch up with you later. I'm enjoying this discussion." These boundaries let you engage without overextending. Let's see this in action. Meet Javier, a software developer who dreaded company mixers. He started using the one-to-one connection strategy, preparing questions and focusing on single conversations. At one event, he connected with a manager over a shared interest in coding tools, leading to a mentorship opportunity. By stepping away for brief recharges, he stayed energized and authentic. Javier's story shows that introverts can thrive in social settings by playing to their strengths. Next, let's focus on leveraging your introverted strengths to stand out. Introverts bring rare qualities to an extroverted world: deep focus, thoughtful analysis, and empathy. These aren't just nice-to-haves, they're in demand. A 2022 study in Organizational Behavior Review found that 65% of employees value colleagues who listen actively and contribute meaningful ideas, traits introverts naturally possess. The challenge is showcasing these strengths in environments that reward volume over substance. One practical tool is the quiet impact method. This is a way to make your contributions count without raising your voice. Before a meeting or group discussion, prepare one well-thought-out idea or question. Write it down to clarify your thoughts, then share it early in the conversation to avoid overthinking. For example, in a team meeting, say, "I've been thinking about how we could streamline our process. Could we try a weekly summary email?" This shows initiative while staying true to your reflective style. After sharing, listen actively and nod to show engagement, reinforcing your presence without needing to speak constantly. Try this. Pick one group setting this week, like a work meeting or a family discussion. Prepare one idea or question in advance and share it within the first 10 minutes. Afterward, reward yourself with something small, like a favorite drink or 10 minutes of quiet time. Note the experience in your journal, like shared an idea in the meeting, felt heard. A 2019 study in Journal of Leadership Studies found that concise, prepared contributions increase perceived competence by 30%. Your quiet impact method is your megaphone. Use it to be heard. Another strength-leveraging tool is the listening spotlight. Introverts are natural listeners, which builds trust and influence. In any interaction, focus on asking one follow-up question to show you're engaged, like, "Can you tell me more about that?" Or, "What made you choose that approach?" This deepens the conversation and highlights your empathy. Practice this once today and note the response. For example, asked a friend to elaborate on her story. She opened up more. Your listening is a superpower. Let it shine. Let's bring this to life with a story. Consider Susan Sontag, an introverted writer and thinker who thrived in intellectual circles. She didn't dominate conversations, but captivated audiences with her prepared, insightful comments and attentive listening. In debates, she'd share one powerful idea, then ask probing questions, earning respect without raising her voice. Her approach shows that introverts can command attention by being deliberate and present. You can do this too, one thoughtful moment at a time. As you navigate this extroverted world, know that you're not just surviving, you're redefining success. Author Franz Kafka, an introvert, wrote, "I am a cage in search of a bird." Your introversion is no cage. It's the wings that let you soar. Keep leveraging your strengths and watch how the world makes room for you. You've learned how to navigate social expectations and leverage your introverted strengths to make an impact. Now let's take it further by asserting your value with confidence, managing energy in high-pressure extroverted settings, and building habits that ensure you thrive long-term. We'll wrap up with an action checklist to keep you on track. Your quiet presence isn't just enough. It's a force that reshapes the world around you. Let's make it undeniable. Asserting your value in an extroverted world means owning your contributions without feeling the need to compete for attention. Introverts often hesitate to self-promote, fearing it feels inauthentic or pushy. But sharing your strengths isn't bragging. It's ensuring your work is seen. A 2020 study in Journal of Organizational Behavior found that employees who communicate their achievements thoughtfully are 35% more likely to be recognized for promotions, regardless of how often they speak. Your depth and insight are assets. Let's make them visible. One powerful strategy is the value snapshot. This is a concise way to highlight your contributions in a way that feels natural. Once a week, share one specific accomplishment with a colleague, manager, or friend, either in person or via email. For example, say, "I finalized the report this week and I'm proud of how it clarifies our next steps." Keep it short, 2 sentences max, and tie it to a shared goal, like team success or a personal connection. This showcases your work without feeling forced. Try this once this week. Pick one achievement, share it with one person, and note their response in a journal. For example, told my boss about the client feedback I organized. She thanked me. A 2019 study in Career Development Quarterly found that brief, intentional self-advocacy increases professional visibility by 30%. Your value snapshot is your spotlight. Shine it quietly, but boldly. If you're nervous about seeming self-centered, frame your snapshot as a collaboration. For example, our team's presentation went well. I'm glad I could contribute the data analysis. This highlights your role while staying inclusive. Practice this phrasing once aloud before sharing to feel confident. If feedback is positive, build on it by sharing another snapshot next week. Your contributions deserve to be seen. Start small, and it'll feel natural. Let's see this in action. Meet Nora, a marketing coordinator who felt her quiet work went unnoticed in her loud office. She started using the value snapshot, emailing her manager weekly updates like, "I streamlined the ad campaign data, which should help us track results faster." She kept it brief and team-focused. Over time, her manager praised her initiative, and Nora was tasked with leading a new project. Nora's story shows that introverts can assert their value without raising their voice, just their impact. Next, let's tackle managing energy in high-pressure extroverted settings like busy workplaces, conferences, or large gatherings. These environments can drain introverts quickly, leaving you feeling frazzled or invisible. The key is to pace yourself and create pockets of calm amid the storm. A 2021 study in Work and Stress found that introverts who use strategic energy management in high-interaction settings report 40% lower fatigue levels. You don't need to match the extroverted pace. You need to master your own. One effective tool is the energy pause plan. Before entering a demanding setting like a networking event or a long meeting, plan 3 5-minute pauses to recharge. Identify a quiet spot in advance. A hallway, a bathroom, or even a parked car. During each pause, do one calming activity like deep breathing, stretching, or listening to a soothing song. For example, step away mid-event, take 10 slow breaths, and return refreshed. To make this seamless, set a discrete phone timer or tie pauses to natural breaks, like after a speaker or a coffee refill. Try this at one event this week. Plan your pauses, use them, and journal how your energy feels afterward, like, took 3 breaks at the conference, stayed focused longer. A 2020 study in Journal of Applied Psychology found that short, planned breaks reduce overstimulation by 35%. Your energy pause plan is your oxygen. Breathe it in. Another energy tool is the selective engagement tactic. In high-pressure settings, you don't need to participate in every moment. Choose 1 or 2 key interactions or tasks to focus your energy on, and let the rest take a back seat. For example, at a work conference, decide to engage deeply in one panel discussion and one networking chat, then allow yourself to observe quietly for the rest. Before the event, write down your 2 priorities like contribute 1 question in the Q&A, connect with 1 new person. This keeps you impactful without spreading yourself thin. Practice this once this week and note the result, like focused on 1 talk, felt in control. Your selective focus is your strength. Use it wisely. Let's bring this to life with a story. Consider Charles Darwin, an introvert who revolutionized science despite disliking public attention. At scientific gatherings, he'd focus on a few key discussions, sharing his ideas thoughtfully, then retreat to quiet spaces to recharge. His selective engagement and strategic pauses let him contribute powerfully while preserving his energy. Darwin's approach shows that introverts can thrive in demanding settings by prioritizing quality over quantity. You can do this too, 1 pause at a time. Finally, build lasting habits to keep thriving. Consistency turns strategies into second nature. One habit to start is the weekly energy review. Every Sunday, spend 5 minutes reviewing your week. What energized you? What drained you? What's one small tweak for next week, like adding an energy pause or sharing a value snapshot? Write down one action to try, like take a 5-minute break during next team meeting. This keeps you proactive and adaptable. A 2022 study in Journal of Behavioral Science found that weekly reflection habits increase energy management success by 30%. Start this review this Sunday and track it for a month. As you thrive in this extroverted world, know that you're not just adapting, you're redefining what success looks like. Author Shirley Jackson, an introvert, wrote, "No live organism can continue for long to exist sanely under conditions of absolute reality. Your reality is yours to shape. Craft it with your quiet power and watch the world take notice." Action checklist. Thriving in an extroverted world. 1. Practice the one-to-one connection strategy at one social or professional event this week, preparing 3 questions and taking a 5-minute recharge. 2. Use the quiet impact method in one group setting, preparing and sharing one idea or question early. 3. Share one value snapshot this week, highlighting a specific achievement with one person. 4. Create an energy pause plan for one high-pressure event, scheduling 3 5-minute breaks with a calming activity. 5. Apply the selective engagement tactic at one event, choosing 2 priorities and noting the result. These steps are your blueprint for thriving in an extroverted world. Start with one, then build from there. Your introverted strength is changing the game. Keep playing it your way. Chapter 10. Embracing your introverted power. You've learned to navigate social overwhelm, communicate with impact, and thrive in an extroverted world. Now, it's time to fully step into your introverted power, not just surviving, but celebrating who you are. This chapter is about owning your quiet strength, amplifying your unique gifts, and living with unapologetic confidence. We'll focus on embracing your introverted identity, harnessing your natural talents, and creating daily practices that make your power undeniable. Your introversion isn't just a trait, it's a force. Let's unleash it. Introverts often grow up feeling like they need to fix themselves to fit a loud, fast-paced world, but your quiet nature isn't a flaw, it's a superpower. Your ability to focus deeply, empathize genuinely, and think before acting sets you apart in a culture that often values noise over substance. A 2020 study in Journal of Personality Research found that introverts are 40% more likely to excel in tasks requiring sustained focus and creativity, like problem-solving or writing, compared to extroverts. This is your edge. As author Anais Nin, an introvert, wrote, "I must be a mermaid. I have no fear of depths and a great fear of shallow living. Your depth is your power, let's embrace it." The first step is owning your introverted identity. This means letting go of the idea that you need to be more extroverted to succeed. Instead, see your introversion as a core part of your strength, like a signature that makes you unique. Owning your identity starts with self-acceptance, acknowledging that your need for solitude, your thoughtful pace, and your preference for meaningful connections are not weaknesses, but assets. A 2021 study in Self and Identity found that individuals who embrace their personality traits report 35% higher life satisfaction than those who resist them. Your introversion is your foundation. Build on it with pride. Here's how to start. Create an introvert power statement. Take 5 minutes to write a single sentence that celebrates your introverted strengths. For example, "My quiet focus and deep empathy help me create meaningful impact in my work and relationships." Make it personal and specific, reflecting what you value about yourself. Write it on a sticky note and place it somewhere you'll see daily, like your mirror or laptop. Read it aloud once a day for a week, letting it sink in. If self-doubt creeps in, revisit your statement and add one reason it's true, like, "I solved a tough problem at work this week." A 2019 study in Journal of Positive Psychology found that affirming personal strengths daily boosts confidence by 30%. Your power statement is your anthem. Own it. Let's see this in action. Meet Samir, a data analyst who felt overshadowed by extroverted colleagues. He wrote an introvert power statement. My careful analysis and listening skills make me a trusted teammate. He read it daily and placed it on his desk. When preparing for a presentation, he reminded himself of his statement, which helped him share his insights confidently. His manager later praised his clarity, proving his quiet power was enough. Samir's story shows that embracing your identity shifts how you show up and how others see you. Next, let's focus on amplifying your natural talents. Introverts have a unique set of gifts: deep focus, active listening, and thoughtful decision-making that are in high demand. The challenge is using these in ways that feel authentic and impactful. A 2022 study in Leadership Quarterly found that 60% of employees prefer leaders who listen attentively and think strategically, traits introverts naturally bring. Whether at work, with friends, or in your community, your talents can shine if you use them deliberately. One practical strategy is the Strength Showcase. Identify one introverted strength you're proud of, like your ability to listen or solve complex problems. Then, choose one setting this week, like a meeting, a conversation, or a creative project, where you can highlight it. Plan a specific action to showcase your strength. For example, if your strength is listening, commit to asking one thoughtful follow-up question in a team discussion like, "Can you explain how that idea would work in practice?" If it's focus, share a detailed solution you've worked on, like, "I spent time analyzing our data and found a pattern we could use." After, journal how it felt and what response you got, like, "Asked a question in the meeting. Team appreciated it." Try this once this week, rewarding yourself with something small, like a quiet coffee break. A 2020 study in Journal of Applied Psychology found that intentional use of personal strengths increases workplace influence by 25%. Your strength showcase is your stage. Step onto it. Another way to amplify your talents is through the deep work block. Introverts thrive when they can dive into tasks without interruption, producing high-quality results that speak for themselves. Schedule one 60-minute block this week for uninterrupted work on something meaningful like a project, hobby, or personal goal. Turn off notifications, tell others you're unavailable, and focus fully. For example, spend an hour writing a proposal or practicing a skill. Afterward, share one outcome from your work, like showing a colleague your draft or posting a photo of your creation. A 2019 study in Organizational Behavior Review found that deep work sessions increase productivity and confidence by 35%. Your deep work block is your superpower in action. Use it to create something remarkable. Let's bring this to life with a story. Consider Emily Dickinson, an introverted poet whose quiet life produced some of the world's most powerful literature. She embraced her need for solitude, using it to craft poems that explored profound truths. When she shared her work with a small circle, her depth resonated deeply. Dickinson's story shows that introverts can make a lasting impact by leaning into their strengths, not hiding them. You can do this too, one focused moment at a time. Now, let's start building confidence through daily practices. Owning your power grows stronger with consistent, small actions. One practice is the daily power moment. Each day, do one tiny act that reinforces your introverted strength, like writing a thoughtful note, solving a small problem, or spending 10 minutes in focused thought. For example, send a kind email to a friend or outline a plan for a work task. Track each moment in a journal, noting what you did and how it felt, like wrote a clear email, felt proud. Try this for 5 days, rewarding each moment with a small treat, like a favorite song. A 2021 study in behavior research and therapy found that daily micro-actions boost self-efficacy by 30%. Your daily power moment is your spark. Keep it glowing. You've begun to own your introverted identity and amplify your natural talents, proving that your quiet strength is a force to be reckoned with. Now, let's take it to the next level. by creating a legacy of impact, building resilience against external pressures, and locking in habits that make your power a lifelong asset. We'll end with an action checklist to keep you moving forward. Your introversion isn't just a part of you, it's the spark that can light up the world. Let's make it unforgettable. Creating a legacy of impact means using your introverted strengths to leave a meaningful mark, whether in your work, relationships, or community. Introverts don't need to be the loudest voice in the room to make a difference. Your thoughtful actions and deep connections resonate long after the noise fades. A 2020 study in Journal of Social Impact found that 70% of people value contributions that foster understanding and collaboration, qualities introverts naturally bring, over flashy displays of leadership. Your legacy is built one intentional step at a time, rooted in your ability to listen, reflect, and act with purpose. One practical strategy is the Legacy Project. This is a small, meaningful initiative that aligns with your values and leverages your strengths. Pick one area where you want to make a difference, like mentoring a colleague, writing a blog, or volunteering for a cause. Break it into 3 steps. Plan, e.g., outline your goal. Act, e.g., take one action, like drafting a post or scheduling a meeting. And share, e.g., tell one person about your progress. For example, if you love teaching, offer to guide a junior teammate on a skill, starting with a 20-minute session. Try this over the next 2 weeks. Choose a project, complete one step, and journal your progress, like taught a coworker Excel basics, felt rewarding. Reward yourself with something small, like a favorite treat. A 2019 study in community psychology found that purpose-driven projects increase personal fulfillment by 35%. Your legacy project is your footprint. Start carving it. If you're unsure where to begin, think small. A legacy doesn't require grand gestures. Writing a heartfelt letter to a friend or organizing a quiet community event can ripple outward. If time is tight, dedicate 30 minutes a week to your project. The key is consistency. Your quiet impact will grow over time. Let's see this in action. Meet Lynn, a quiet accountant who wanted to leave a mark beyond her spreadsheets. She started a legacy project by creating a financial literacy workshop for local teens, using her knack for clear explanations. She planned one session, taught it, and shared her success with her book club. The teens' enthusiasm inspired her to continue, and her small project grew into a community program. Lynn's story shows that introverts can create lasting impact by starting small and staying true to their strengths. Next, let's focus on building resilience against external pressures. Living in an extroverted world means facing constant demands to be louder, faster, or more visible. These pressures can erode your confidence if you don't have tools to stay grounded. Resilience isn't about ignoring the noise. It's about anchoring yourself in your introverted power so you can keep shining. A 2021 study in Journal of Resilience Research found that introverts who practice self-affirming habits report 40% lower stress when facing social pressures. Your inner strength is your shield. Let's reinforce it. One effective tool is the pressure deflection technique. When you feel pushed to conform, like being urged to speak up more or attend every social event, pause and redirect the pressure to align with your strengths. For example, if a coworker says you should network more at the conference, respond with, "I'm focusing on a few key connections. That's where I do my best work." This acknowledges the suggestion while asserting your approach. Practice this once this week. Identify a moment of pressure, use a deflection response, and journal the outcome, like deflected a group invite by suggesting a one-on-one, felt in control. If the pressure comes from within, like self-doubt about being too quiet, remind yourself, my quiet focus gets results. A 2020 study in stress and coping found that redirecting external expectations reduces anxiety by 30%. Your deflection technique is your armor. Wear it proudly. Another resilience tool is the core value anchor. Write down 3 values that define you. like integrity, creativity, or compassion. When external pressures hit, revisit your values to stay grounded. For example, if you're overwhelmed by a loud workplace, remind yourself, my value of creativity thrives in calm. I'll find quiet moments to work. Keep your values on a card in your wallet or phone and glance at them before a challenging day. Try this today. Write your 3 values and use them once this week to navigate a pressure, noting the result, like focused on compassion during a tense meeting, stayed calm. Your values are your compass. Let them guide you. Let's bring this to life with a story. Consider Toni Morrison, an introverted novelist who faced pressure to conform in the literary world. She deflected expectations to write flashier stories, staying true to her deep reflective style, and anchored herself in her value of truth-telling. Her resilience produced masterpieces that changed literature. Morrison's story shows that introverts can withstand pressures by holding fast to their core. You can do this too, one grounded choice at a time. Finally, lock in your power with lasting habits. Embracing your introverted power is a lifelong journey, and small, consistent actions make it sustainable. One habit is the weekly power reflection. Every Sunday, spend 5 minutes writing about one moment where you felt powerful as an introvert, like solving a problem, connecting deeply, or standing firm in your values. Note what made it possible and one way to do it again. For example, felt powerful explaining a concept clearly, prepared in advance. We'll prep again next week. Try this for 4 weeks, rewarding each reflection with a small joy, like a quiet walk. A 2022 study in Journal of Behavioral Science found that weekly self-reflection boosts long-term confidence by 30%. Your reflection is your fuel. Keep it burning. As you embrace your introverted power, know that you're not just living, you're inspiring. Author John Green, an introvert, wrote, "You don't get to choose if you get hurt in this world, but you do have some say in who hurts you." Choose to be the one who lifts yourself up, and your power will light the way for others. Action. Checklist. Embracing your introverted power. 1. Create an introvert power statement, writing 1 sentence about your strengths and reading it daily for a week. 2. Try the Strength Showcase in one setting this week, planning and sharing 1 action that highlights your talents. 3. Schedule a deep work block for 60 minutes this week, focusing on a meaningful task and sharing 1 outcome. 4. Start a legacy project over 2 weeks, completing 1 step and journaling your progress. 5. Practice the pressure deflection technique once this week, redirecting an external pressure and noting the result. These steps are your blueprint for a life of unapologetic power. Start with 1, then build from there. Your introverted strength is a gift. Share it and watch the world change. You've journeyed through 10 chapters, each a step toward embracing your introverted power. From understanding your energy to communicating with impact, designing a life that fits you, and thriving in an extroverted world, you've built a toolkit to live boldly as your authentic self. This conclusion isn't an end, it's a beginning. It's about carrying your quiet strength forward, reflecting on how far you've come, and taking practical steps to make your power a lifelong force. Your introversion is not just a trait, it's a gift that can change the world. Let's celebrate it and keep it growing. Looking back, you've learned that being an introvert is not about fitting into a loud world, but about reshaping it with your unique strengths. You've discovered how to manage your energy by setting boundaries and prioritizing solitude, as in your daily recharges and energy audits. You've mastered communicating with clarity and impact, whether through a single, well-timed point in a meeting or a thoughtful email. You've designed spaces and routines that nurture your calm, from a cozy corner to a balanced schedule. You've overcome self-doubt and comparison, reframing your thoughts to see your worth. You've sustained your energy, dodging burnout with strategic pauses and anchors, and you've thrived in extroverted settings, asserting your value with quiet confidence. Most importantly, you've embraced your introverted power, owning your depth, focus, and empathy as tools for impact. A 2021 study in Journal of Personality and Well-Being found that individuals who align their lives with their natural traits report 45% higher life satisfaction. You're living that truth. Your quiet power is unleashed. The beauty of this journey is that it's yours to shape. Introverts don't need to shout to be heard. Your thoughtful actions speak louder than any megaphone. Think of the moments you've already created. Maybe you shared a bold idea at work, set a boundary with a friend, or carved out a morning ritual that left you refreshed. These are not small wins. They're the foundation of a life where you thrive. As author Maya Angelou, an introvert, wrote, "You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. You've chosen to rise, and that choice is your power." Let's start by reflecting on your progress to fuel your momentum. Reflection helps you see how far you've come and where you want to go. A 2020 study in Journal of Positive Psychology found that reflecting on personal growth increases motivation by 35%, especially for introverts who process deeply. Your journey is a story of courage. Let's write the next chapter with intention. Here's how to start. Create a power milestone map. Take 10 minutes to write down 3 moments from the past few months where you felt your introverted power shine. These could be times you used a strategy from this book, like speaking up with a prepared point, deflecting social pressure, or completing a deep work session. For each, note what you did, how it felt, and one lesson learned. For example, shared an idea in a team meeting using the quiet impact method, felt confident. Lesson: preparation makes me bold. Then write one goal for the next month, like use the value snapshot twice to highlight my work. Keep this map in a notebook or on your phone and revisit it weekly to stay inspired. Try this today and reward yourself with a quiet moment like sipping tea in your calm space. Your milestone map is your compass. Use it to chart your path. Let's see this in action. Meet Amir, a teacher who once felt drained by his extroverted classroom. Using strategies from this book, he set boundaries with colleagues, created a morning recharge ritual, and shared thoughtful ideas in staff meetings. He made a power milestone map, noting moments like, set a boundary by skipping a loud happy hour, felt free. Lesson: saying no is powerful. His goal was to mentor one student weekly, leveraging his listening skills. Reflecting on his progress gave Amir confidence to keep going, and his students began thriving under his calm guidance. Amir's story shows that looking back fuels your steps forward. Next, let's focus on carrying your power forward with practical habits. Your introverted power grows strongest when it's part of your daily life, woven into small, consistent actions. The goal is not perfection, but progress. Each step reinforces your strength. A 2019 study in behavior research and therapy found that daily micro-habits increase long-term resilience by 40%. You've already built habits like energy pauses and strength showcases. Let's add one more to make your power unstoppable. One powerful habit is the daily impact spark. Each day, do one small act that reflects your introverted strengths and moves you toward a bigger goal. This could be writing a thoughtful note to a colleague, spending 10 minutes on a legacy project, or practicing a deflection response for an upcoming pressure. For example, if your goal is to grow as a leader, spend 10 minutes outlining a team idea. Track each spark in a journal, noting what you did and how it felt, like wrote a kind email to a teammate, felt connected. Try this for 5 days, rewarding each spark with a small joy, like a favorite song or a quiet walk. If you miss a day, start again without judgment. Consistency, not perfection, is the key. A 2022 study in Journal of Behavioral Science found that daily purposeful actions boost confidence by 30%. Your daily impact spark is your flame. Keep it lit. Another forward-moving strategy is the Power Vision Board. This is a visual reminder of your introverted power and the life you're building. Spend 15 minutes gathering images, quotes, or words that inspire you. Maybe a photo of a serene forest, a quote about courage, or the word focus. Arrange them on a piece of paper or a digital app and place it somewhere you'll see daily, like your desk or phone wallpaper. Each week, add one new item, like a note about a recent win. For example, add a sticky note saying, "Led a calm discussion, felt strong." Try this over the next 2 weeks and journal how it motivates you, like, "Saw my vision board, felt ready to tackle the day." A 2020 study in Journal of Motivation Studies found that visual goal reminders increase action-taking by 25%. Your vision board is your beacon. Let it guide you. Let's bring this to life with a story. Consider Frida Kahlo, an introvert whose quiet resilience and deep creativity left a global legacy. She faced physical and social pressures, but channeled her energy into art that spoke volumes. By focusing on her inner world and sharing it deliberately, she created a lasting impact. Kahlo's story reminds us that introverts can shape the world by staying true to their power. You can do this too, one spark at a time. As you move forward, know that your quiet power is not just for you. It's a gift to the world. Author Toni Morrison, an introvert, wrote, "When you get these jobs that you have been so brilliantly trained for, just remember that your real job is that if you are free, you need to free somebody else." Your freedom as an introvert, your confidence, your impact, will inspire others to find theirs. Keep shining and watch the ripple effect.